Okay, so thanks for everyone taking some time to get together and touch base here, go over some stuff for the new year. Hopefully, we can get dialed in and ramped up and make some more sales going this year. Um, what is this? AI assistant taking notes. Okay, that's cool. Um, I'm going to share my screen. Want to talk a little bit about mindset and lead generation in the solar space. I want to make this a weekly call so we can dial into best practices, all kinds of technical stuff with solar and finance and generating proposals and all that kind of good stuff. But I think in the beginning, the most important thing is finding people to talk to with traditional and kind of outside of the box type strategies. So, to me, the solar value proposition kind of speaks for itself. It sells itself if you can get in front of enough people to talk to. And I think it's easy to get. Rich and I were talking yesterday about like analysis paralysis, and I'm kind of like you, Jim, with your background there. With, as you can see, I've got the pseudo background, tons of books. I'm always reading books and listening to. Well, I think podcasts are kind of lame unless it's someone really smart giving it, but Audible and always listen to all this kind of stuff. But it doesn't really mean shit unless you put that into action. Knowledge is not power, knowledge is potential power. And so I think it's easy to like overcomplicate it and kind of get in the weeds about philosophy and the market and interest rates and the economy and lead generate, advertising and marketing and metrics and AI and blah, 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 all this shit that's important and relevant and, things we should be thinking about and learning about. But at the end of the day, we really just need to have conversations with people, right? And if we can have a certain amount of conversations and we can convert a certain amount of those people, get a certain amount of people that are willing to listen to what we have to offer and sit down and look at a proposal, the numbers should sell themselves, right? Even if we like suck at solar, they hate the environment, we couldn't like close the front door. If someone looks at the numbers, the value proposition of a PPA or a loan, it's really one of the best ROIs for any investment you can make. I mean, like the good news of what we're dealing with here, right, is everyone buys electricity every single day from monopolies and cartels who they hate, who raise their rates. And so we have a technology-based solution, right? And so I won't go too much into solar. We'll have all kinds of time to go into that. But can you see my charts here with see my screen?
Yeah. Yep.
With exponential growth, right? So the human brain tends to think linear, 1, 2, 3, 4. With technology, especially silicon-based technologies, there's exponential improvements in the technology, exponential reduction in the cost, leading to an exponential adoption in the product once you cross a certain tipping point. This has happened with every technology and good history and good idea in human history. Right? Everything from the wheel and fire to democracy and civil rights and things like that, right? So at first, when any technology first comes out or a new idea, it seems radical and crazy and really expensive, right? Like, why would I need a car? I've got a horse and buggy, right? That's a toy for rich weirdos in the cities. Let's see, we got Jason there. Hey, Jason, what's happening? Can you hear me there, Jason? Welcome.
Yes, yes, I can. Thank you. I'm actually fixing to be in just a mode to just be able to listen, but thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, sit back, relax, and pull up a chair. We're going a little quick background on solar and some mindset, but what I really want to focus on is lead generation. So how we can get in front of more people, right? So when every technology comes out at first, it's expensive and doesn't seem to make sense, right? Henry Ford didn't invent the car. He invented the assembly line to mass produce cars to make them affordable and then create financing so that you didn't have to buy it all at once, break it down to a monthly lease or a monthly loan to own. And that's the same thing that's unlocked solar, right? So you look at this last 100 years of technology from where no one has something till everyone has it, right? And once something crosses the tipping point, kind of the Rubicon, where it becomes better and faster and cheaper and people see the value of it, technology goes through this S curve of adoption. There's another chart I could add on here. You've probably seen it elsewhere. Early adopters, early mass market, and they have what's called the chasm to mass market adoption, right? Like if you think about the people that camped out for the iPhone or the new Tesla 10 years ago when it first came out, right? These are your early adopters, right? Those people already have solar. They got it 10 or 15 years ago. What the opportunity here and the challenge and the reason that this is such a great opportunity is it's just math and it's unstoppable based purely on economics, meaning solar is now the cheapest form of energy in human history, right? 10, 15 years ago when I first started doing it, solar was way more expensive than coal and gas and conventional energy from the grid, right? Nothing against coal miners. It made the whole 20th century possible. It was a huge upgrade from horse and buggies. No offense to my Amish friends who also have solar, a lot of their farms in Lancaster and even on their horse and buggies. It enabled the whole 20th century and all this amazing growth and technology that we frankly take for granted. But the Stone Age didn't end because we ran out of stones, right? We also used to burn whale oil. So you find better technology. The technology first comes out and it's crazy expensive. But technology does this interesting thing as you start to mass produce it and you start to get economies of scale and you start to improve it with every iteration, it becomes better and faster and cheaper. So once it becomes cheaper and better, everyone will do it. And the rate of adoption for the new technology starts out real slow, but it starts to double every year, right? That's exponential growth. And that's what we can't wrap our head around as, monkeys, even though we have iPhones and computers and we're in the 21st century, we still have some primitive operating hardware ourselves. And we'll get into that later with like the psychology behind sales and tribes and brands and building a network and building a tribe and, how to connect with people. We think we're these like, space age futuristic people. We've basically had the same internal operating system for the last 150, 200,000 years. So if you learn how that system works, you can hack it internally and hack networks and social groups ethically to help them, to be of service and value to help them save money and all kinds of cool things. But as you can see, I'm tending to go off on tangents, and I had a couple cups of coffee so far. So let me rein it back in and get focused on what we originally were coming to talk about. So to keep things simple, exponential growth is when things double, right? So one person in the neighborhood gets solar, then two, then four, then eight, then 16. So very quickly, it starts to build up really fast. And that's what's happened for the last decade with solar. It took something like 50 years to get 1 million solar rooftops in California. It took like 8 years to get 2 million. It'll take 4 to get 16 million or whatever, right? So things are speeding up. We're talking on cell phones and computers, not landlines. We watch, here's all the other technology, right? We watch Netflix, not cable. We have Airbnb and Uber and Amazon and Tesla. And, so at first these things seem really scary and really expensive, right? Flat screen TVs when they first came out cost 10 grand. Now they're a couple $100, right? Cell phones when they first came out, maybe I'm dating myself here, a big brick Zach Morris phone, right? 10,000 bucks, $10 a minute. You had to be a stockbroker or a doctor or a drug dealer to have a phone. Now everyone has a cell phone, and the cell phones we talk on have more computer power than everything combined on Earth when we went to the moon. And yes, anyone tuning in, we did leave the flat Earth to go to the moon. Just kidding. Sadly, you have to tell people you're joking these days. My point is that this has happened everywhere else in our life. Energy is the biggest industry in human history, right? The number one traded commodity on the planet's oil, I believe, followed by coffee last time I checked, right? So these are the fuels and the engines for industrial civilization. So we have a technology solution that is disrupting that. So it's gotten to the point where it's just in the very last few years, solar has gotten cheaper than conventional energy from the grid, even without tax credits and incentives. But no one knows this story outside of Wall Street and Fortune 500 companies and the few early adopters that got solar when it used to cost a premium, right? So less than 4% of people have solar nationally. It's been doubling every year for the last decade, and it's barely penetrated the market. So the opportunity here is enormous, right? To me, I think this will be the biggest transfer of wealth in human history, right? It's in the name, it's a utility. Everyone buys energy every day. It's not a question. It's not an option, right? I was visiting my parents for Christmas. Commercial came on TV, and I was like, "Mom, why are you paying $100 for cable? Here's my Netflix password." Right? It's 10, $15 and no commercials. So people aren't like outside of the oil companies ideologically attached to, whether you're burning dinosaur bones or spinning a windmill or spinning water or splitting atoms. They don't give a shit where their power comes from. They just need electricity to power their lives. So if you have a solution that's cheaper and could save them tons of money, it's inevitable until everyone does it, right? So I could talk about this for hours and days, and we will as time goes on. This message is not really that important right now, other than the idea that we're a part of an exponentially growing business that is disrupting the largest industry on earth. And it's going to create the biggest transfer of wealth, I believe, since oil, the discovery of oil, computers, cell phones, that disruptive. So if you can get a tiny fraction of a percentage of that, you can create financial, time, and location freedom and generational wealth for your family while helping people in the planet, right? So that's kind of part of my why, right? We can delve into all that stuff later, but if people aren't willing to listen to that message, that doesn't really matter. So the value proposition of solar and PPAs versus leases and how to adapt to a high interest environment, all that kind of stuff doesn't matter if no one's willing to listen to your message, right? So there's when I worked at Tesla, there was a whole thing, I guess, copying off of preachers, is it doesn't matter how good your message is if you don't have butts in the seats, right? So our very first goal is to get people willing to listen to the message, right? So how can we go out and generate leads organically, digitally, in real life, paid, unpaid, to sort of build a tribe here, a network of people using like traditional business marketing that surprisingly, and is also another huge opportunity, isn't really tapped into solar. There's a lot of people knocking doors. There's channel partners at Home Depot and there's Facebook ads. That's about it. So Jim right away, as like a more experienced person who's done other lines of business, insurance and financial, and has perhaps more experience than a lot of the average solar guy off the street, he's already thinking with call centers and channel partners and networking and more, I think, complex, nuanced stuff that other industries have that solar doesn't quite have. So that's another huge opportunity. So I guess without any further ado, let's get into what really matters is how to generate leads, right? So our goal here is we want to build an organic network of people. We want to hack into their network, their operating system, their brain, to get them to hear our message. And then we want to convert them to evangelists for our cause that then go and share our message with 5 or 10 of their friends and their networks and their church and school and civic clubs and social networks to kind of help do our work for us, right? That's really the goal of any business, is to build a long-term referral-based business. And that's how I think I've been able to do this for 14 or 15 years now at this point. But you can't build a referral business until you can master cold calling and door knocking and cold outreach to get your first person, get your first install, get your first sale, and then start trying to generate a more long-term business. So how do we do that, right? So the very first thing to me is sales is just a transfer of energy, emotion, and security, right? So people buy on emotion and justify that with logic. Unfortunately, we're not logical creatures, despite what we may think, right? We're emotional cavemen and women with technology. And so like, we don't need an iPhone. We don't need Levi's and Nikes, and we don't need any of this stuff, right? You know what I mean? Like you could get by with the cheap jeans from Walmart, the cheap sneakers, a flip phone, right? Like advertising and marketing convinces us that we need these things based on emotional principles that are deep, subtle psychological manipulation in advertising and marketing. It's kind of sick and twisted, really, to convince people to buy a bunch of crap they don't really need, usually made in sweatshops by child labor, on credit that they don't usually have, to impress people that don't really matter or care about them, all by manipulating people's emotional needs, right? So the good thing about solar is when we learn the tools of sales and advertising and marketing, these are powerful psychological principles that we will only ever use ethically, morally, legally to help people, right? So the tactics of sales and marketing were actually illegal to use on civilians during peacetime. So a lot of the advertising industry that developed in Madison Avenue, Mad Men of the 40s and 50s, that was military techniques of psychological persuasion and manipulation developed by the military, right? How do you break someone down, rebuild them up, make them a killing machine to go sacrifice themselves and be willing to walk into bullets to support the cause that you're telling them is important, right? Some causes are that important, most aren't. Um, it was actually illegal to use techniques like this on people outside of, recruiting people for the military. After World War II, all that stuff became the advertising industry and Madison Avenue. And so it's very subtle and effective tools to persuade people. So anyway, we'll get into all that kind of stuff later as well. But to me, it's important to always do the right thing, right? Like solar is something that helps people, especially a free PPA that saves them money and doesn't cost anything. And if they want to finance it, they can save even more. It's going to help 95% of people that you encounter. But don't go around promising a retired 80-year-old grandmom that she's going to get a tax credit if she's on Social Security. And don't put solar on the north side of their house if they live in the woods and their roof doesn't qualify. Like, be ethical, do the right thing always. And, if you're talking, especially to older folks or anyone really, but treat them like your own grandparents, treat people like family, try to be of service, try to help people, and you're going to see your efforts grow tenfold, right? That's kind of the heading here is 10x your network, right? And so we have such an awesome product and service that no one knows about. Most people don't know about. That is one of the few consumer things that people actually need and use, and actually checks off a lot of the boxes that people have when they are doing advertising and marketing, right? You see the guy or the gal riding down with the top down in a convertible with the wind in their hair. Sorry, Big Red. And you make up for it with the beard there. With a
Sun is the
beautiful
enemy.
guy or a beautiful guy or gal on their side and smoking a cigarette back in the day. And, they're selling freedom and independence and sex and power and all these kind of things. And in reality, like, you bought a depreciating rust bucket car, probably made overseas, that you use maybe 3% of the time, and it sits and it gathers rust and you're hardly ever using it. And cigarettes are bad for you. And the $100 blue jeans are made in the same sweatshop as the $10 blue jeans. Like, not trying to depress you or anything like that, but this is something we actually have that actually saves people money, actually gives them power and control, actually protects their family in the event of a power outage. Every single person we meet, even on a PPA, I know I can save you a couple $100 a year. And because of protecting you from compound interest and inflation and raising rates, 20, 30, 40 grand over time. For the average loan, I know it's going to be 3 or 4 times that. I know I'm going to get you there's Craner, get you a $10,000 or $15,000 federal tax credit, 5, 10, 15 grand if you live in an SREC state. Hey, Mike, what's happening? A 4 to 7 or 8 year payback, depending where you live, and then 20, 25, 30 plus years of essentially free energy, saving the average homeowner well over $100,000, right? Take that and invest that in index funds, put that in your kids' college fund, go on vacation, pay off your house, pay off other consumer debt from predatory, financial and consumer things that get people upside down. So like, I believe in this. Like, I think Grant Cardone, who's a little too greasy for me, here's some of the books where all this stuff comes from. I didn't invent any of this. Just read books, copy and paste, and apply your own sort of philosophy to it. He said, don't drink Kool-Aid, swim in the Kool-Aid. So I legitimately believe in all of this for beyond the economic purposes of what solar represents for humanity, right? In terms of transitioning off fossil fuels, forget save the planet will be fine. But how about save the humans, right? Like, oil and gas was a huge evolution for humanity, but it's going to run out. It's in the name. It's finite, right? So we're literally sending 18-year-old kids into harm's way to fight and die for our oil addiction while making the world's worst terrorists and dictators rich, while fighting over fossilized sunshine via dinosaur bones, which is all that oil is, and trashing the planet. Like, forget global warming, which is real and happening or whatever, but just old-fashioned air pollution kills 7 million people a year, right? There's a great quote from Arnold Schwarzenegger who's like, I don't care if you believe in global warming. Lock yourself in your garage, turn on your truck, and come out and we'll debate in 30 minutes. Like, you're not going to come out, right? So none of that stuff really matters either, right? Getting back to people buying on emotion and justifying with logic. That's my emotional reason. That's my why. So I think one of the most important things is finding your why, and we can do a whole deep dive and training on that. But there's some quote, I forget it, or a meme. If you have your why, the how doesn't matter, right? So if you have a sufficient why, you'll figure it out, right? You'll figure out what you need to do to make it happen. And so my whole point is coming from a point of believing in what we're offering, knowing it can help people, coming from a place of service, right? And working your ass off to go out and bring this message to people. And if you can get people to sit down at the kitchen table or the boardroom or the Zoom or on the phone or wherever, in the Uber. I don't know if Cam joined in. Hey, Mike. Cam was a guy I met from Uber who became one of our top salespeople. You know, the message is awesome and it's going to help lots of people. But again, it doesn't matter if people can't hear the message. So what we want to talk about is how we can get more butts in the seats and get more people to listen to solar, and then take our paid advertising or our, oh, there's Fina, our cold marketing to build kind of an organic network to get towards a referral based business. Hey Fina, what's happening? So let's see, where are we here? So we want to learn these techniques of persuasion and ethical influence to influence people to make action and make decisions and take action. Sorry, to help them help their families and save money and all that kind of thing. So how do we get them to do that? We could go and we will go into that. And I recommend, none of this is top secret. It's all hidden in books. So every day be reading some books, listening to podcasts. YouTube's free, Audible's free, or you can sign on to my Audible account. None of this stuff is rocket science. It's all stuff that we all kind of know, but it's good to be reminded of, and it's good to get in the right mindset. Start your day out the right way, whatever whatever it takes to get you in the right kind of attitude. There's another saying, your vibe attracts your tribe, right? And to me, it's not some like hippy dippy woo woo. I'm kind of hippy dippy and woo woo, even though I cut my hair. But to me, this is the science and the psychology of success and how the universe works, right? If you look at the electromagnetic frequencies, right? The way radio works, if you put out you put out a message and you amplify that. And if you dial in the right frequency on your radio receiver, you can pick that up. And so all these things here that are talked about in these type of books and things like that, it's, to me, natural and universal law, right? It's how nature operates. It's how the universe operates. And not just like, the Secret and Oprah type stuff, book club. That gets one part of it, right? You go home and meditate and light some incense and get blissed out and visualize a check for $1 million. That's the first part. You have to visualize and dream big, right? But I think the second part of that book, they miss the second part, which is wake up early and work your fucking ass off. Excuse my French for the viewers at home, right? You got to do the work as well. You can't just sit there and magically levitate the Pentagon. You got to do the work that entails. But the first part of that is getting a vision, getting your why, getting tuned up and getting dialed in and getting yourself right. So whether that's waking up early or sleeping in, eating healthy. I wake up, I try to, stay off Facebook. I never watch the news, try to avoid social media like the plague, except for business marketing is the only thing it's great for. And recruiting customers and fellow people for the business. And start out with a book, start out with your loved ones, start out with some time in nature, start out working out, like whatever that looks like for you to get in your zone, right? Go surfing, go whatever you like to do, right? But do not turn on the news, do not turn on social media. Don't poison your mindset and your mentality with all the negativity, right? It's important to be aware of what's going on. And, I'm not saying like bury your head in the sand and put on rose colored glasses, right? Because that doesn't change anything either. I'm just saying put out good vibrations internally, guard the garden of your mind as the treasure it is, and don't pollute it. Don't feed your mind junk food, right? Just like we get the new phone every day, we get the new operating system, we get updates. We go to the gym, or try to, at least especially around the New Year's. We try to eat healthy, but a lot of times we don't think about what the junk food we're putting in our brain, and that includes our own self-talk, right? All the negativity, the guilt trips, the dogma, all the shit that school and society and like, you know, family, religion, all the stuff that's pumped into our brains. And most people mean well, right? Our family and society and leaders mostly mean well. They're trying to teach us some good stuffs, but like, from a young age of hearing no and don't do that, and being, which you need to give boundaries for kids, but a lot of times it sets us up throughout our life of being scared of failure and having negative self-talk. And that's a whole other training and a whole other episode there. But just suffice it to say, like, feed your mind good things, think good thoughts, go out and do work hard. But like if you start your day out like tuned into trash, you're not going to have a good day, right? And you're not going to get people that are vibrating and listening to the message that you have to offer. And these things here, to me, it's not woo woo. This is science. It's physics. It's the way that the universe operates, right? You look at nature, where I think one of these guys, Brian Tracy or Zig Ziglar, they talk about, I think, the two OGs in this that you want to check out, and I won't belabor it. You guys are probably already familiar with this, but I would say Dale Carnegie and Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich and How to Win Friends and Influence People. These were started during the Depression, and they went out and studied all the top peak performers, right? The Henry Fords of the day, which would be the Elon Musks, or the top peak people, the Michael Jordans, the people at the top of their game, most of them self-made, right? And what are they doing that's different than everyone else, and how can we copy that and apply it to our lives, for whatever definition of success is for us, right? Like, I'm not that much of a materialistic person. Like, to me, success is not money. It's a cool tool. You need to have it in our world, unfortunately, or whatever. So I look at it kind of green energy. But what I want is freedom, and I want freedom with my time, and I want freedom with my friends and family, and be able to go and do whatever I want, whenever I want, and not be beholden to anyone. I want to like give awesome gifts for my family on Christmas, right? Not just material things, but like, hey, Dad, you worked your ass off 6 days a week when I was growing up, working your fingers to the bone, doing construction work where you have a set cap salary. That's all you can earn. And there's this amazing, abundant opportunity available. I want to get you a trip to the Caribbean, or I want to go hang out with you for a month and bring my laptop, and you're retired. Let's go like travel the world. Let's get good education for the kids and the grandkids. And that's what success is to me. Everyone here can have their own definition of success, but these people here studied, conventionally successful people, the titans of industry that changed the world, right? The people that created the railroads and built empires and were super successful. And all of those people have certain traits in common, right? And we can learn from all those people. And I think it's Napoleon Hill talks about, have this big visualization. He makes the analogy of the garden, where you have to plant seeds, right? You have to fertilize the soil. You have to go chop down the forest and rip up all the weeds, till the ground, fertilize the soil, spread shit everywhere, get rid of the insects, get rid of the bugs. You have to fight kind of a war against the people that want to destroy your garden. You throw out 100 seeds. I think it's the parable of the sower, is an old one from biblical days. Half of them won't even sprout. They're going to hit rocky ground. Birds is going to eat it, pests and insects, but some of them are going to sprout. And then you got to work all through the summer. You're watering them, you're protecting them from pests and insects. And if you take care of it and you put that work in and you do the things in the due season, by the time of the harvest, some of your crops are going to fail. Some of them are going to get eaten. You're going to have such an abundance of food, of tomatoes or whatever, that you have to give some away to friends and family and make ketchup or salsa to survive through the winter. So that, like, the point is, planting seeds in our business and our life and things like that, you got to be okay with tons of failure. Lots of it's not going to succeed. But if even a fraction of it starts to succeed, and we nurture that and we grow that, and we grow our mind and our mindset, we grow our community, we grow our network, we grow our business, then that's going to yield long-term, abundant, prosperous success, that we're going to have so much abundance and excess that we can give back and be, useful and helpful beyond just business, but be, give our time and our money and our hearts and things to things that really matter in life, in our community, in our family. But anyway, these folks here said it way better than I can, so I'm just grokking off of what they say. So read these books, listen to these books, and apply it to your life. Everyone that came after these guys pretty much geeked out on these dudes, and they took a lot of this stuff from the science of the day, from natural law, from ancient spiritual stuff, whether it's, the Bible, the Talmud, the Bhagavad Gita, the Rig Vedas, these like ancient laws of how nature and society and the universe operates. And then the second and third generation, your Tony Robbins, your Zig Ziglars, your Gary V's, all these people are just basically recycling a lot of these ideas, which themselves are not new. It's ancient ideas. Anyway, enough about that. As I said, we were going to talk about lead generation. I'm still going down rabbit holes. The idea here, again, with this exponential growth of solar, I hate to use the V word or the C word after the last few years, but good ideas are contagious and they grow virally, right? There's exponential growth. There's a really cool study from back in the old days of Solar City that Rich and I used to work at years ago, when they looked at all the demographics and psychographics that would let a consumer adopt solar, right? You look at all the things, are they into yoga, the environment, health food, farming, like all the things that you would think would be, this person might want solar, this person probably is not into it. And they studied all of those things. And the number one predictor was someone in the neighborhood that had it. And there's a map here I can pull up. It's a graphic of, used to have people posted up in Home Depot and Costco, right? Because you're trying to get homeowners who are interested in technology to listen to your pitch. So they paid millions of dollars to let people sit up in Home Depot and set in-home appointments. That's how I got started doing this 14 or 15 years ago. And there was one map where, and so I'll actually pull it up so you see exactly what I'm talking about, this box study here. And people in green were the people that took an appointment from Home Depot and signed up. And about 18% of people, once they took the appointment, would ultimately sign up. I think that's more a pox on our inability as salespeople to explain the offer. Can you see this here where it switched over, this old study? The map here, Rich, Solar City. And yellow, okay, yellow signed up on their own, either online or in the store. And then green was referral, right? So once you plant one seed, right, 2, 4, 8, 16, that's what we're trying to get. We're trying to make the yellow, plant our flags ourselves, and then convert that whole neighborhood, that whole community, that school district, that church group, that social group, the sports team. We want to be that person that plants that flag and converts that whole group of people, right? And it's really fascinating, some of the data and the studies here. And that's what we're trying to do, is cross that tipping point, right? So how do we do that? Been dancing around that the whole time. Now let's get to it, right? Bottom line of all the other stuff, get your mind right, educate yourself, start your day out in a good thing, go forth and spread the light of solar, right? We'll learn how to present that, how to pitch that, how to overcome objections, how to design systems, financing, all of the details of the offer of what we're making, how to craft your elevator pitch, your value proposition, how to conduct a presentation using tools of psychology and influence and persuasion, ethically, of course, to help people always. But none of that, again, as I've been saying, matters unless someone's willing to listen about what the heck solar is and why does it matter to me. So I look at lead generation a couple different ways, right? I look at it as hunting, farming, and fishing, right? I'm not the best here at technology. It took an old thing. I need to update this here and make it look cool. Maybe I need to get a tech person because I'm not the most tech savvy. Hunting to me is cold outreach to clients who have never considered your offer, right? Someone who doesn't know what solar is, doesn't care, they're busy. You're on their doorstep, you're cold calling them, you meet them at a coffee shop, in an Uber, on a train, in a plane, just strangers you meet anywhere. So I think, like, the ABCs of closing, right? That old what was that movie? Um, always be closing. I think, to me, it's always be canvassing, because the cool thing about, yeah, there we go. The coffee is for closers. Um, the cool thing about solar is everyone is a potential customer and they don't even really know it yet, right? Anyone that owns a home that has decent enough credit, the PPA offer, right, it literally costs them nothing and it lowers their bills. It's a switching of a service from cable to Netflix, right? So to me, that's not even a sale. That's a changing of a service that helps them save money. A loan, you're getting someone to buy stuff. That's a lot more nuanced. That's more of a sale. But it's not like, people are only in the market for a car or a house or blue jeans. Hey, Elaine, how's it going? At certain points, but everyone's buying electricity every single day, like we were talking about earlier. So my whole thing is always be talking to everyone all the time. I used to just always wear, back in the day, my Tesla clothes everywhere, or something that says solar everywhere. Um, and I would be that way normally. Sometimes my fiance is annoyed by it. Like, I'm generally interested in people, so I'll talk to strangers on the train, or, at a restaurant or whatever. Like, maybe that's why I'm in sales, but always be talking to people, right? Because everyone is a potential client and they don't know about it yet. And so traditionally, I would think about this, right? Any cold outreach, door to door, not really my forte. There's 20-year-old kids knocking 2 or 3 hours a day, making two, three, four, $500,000 plus a year, strictly on door to door. Not to knock their hustle, but really the innovators of people. A lot of people think door to door is dead and died out years ago with the old Tin Men and the siding and back in the day, right? But some of the folks out in Utah, they really brought that industry back. It was kind of genius of someone to put um, an alarm system or a pest control or then solar into the kids coming back from their missions or whatever. And I always looked at solar. It's not just, you're not just selling a widget or a product or a service. It's kind of an evangelical conversion, and showing someone the light, getting them to come around to your way of thinking, that their defenses are, they're trained to be skeptical and wary of in all sales situations, but particularly solar. People are like, the natural objections are heavy, and there's also, lots of coordinated stuff by big oil and things like that to try to turn people off to this idea before they even consider it, right? And make people super skeptical. So they always crushed it there. So I'm not the door-to-door guru. I'm not any kind of guru. I just read books and try to put it into practice. The guru there, you want to get Michael O'Donnell. This guy does 2 megawatts a year, strictly knocking doors. I'm sure he gets lots of referrals now, but this is the dude. Michael O'Donnell, no matter what. Sam Taggart, a lot of the Mormon kids from Utah, they are the gurus of door to door. If you can get out of your car door, which is the hardest one, and go out and knock for a couple hours, have some conversations, be willing to have doors slammed in your face and laugh it off, and look at it as if you can reverse engineer your numbers, meaning, like, okay, there's only a few numbers you can control, right? It's how many people you talk to. Your conversion rate is what it is, and you can improve that. And the amount of effort you put in, right? So, like, if you know that it takes you 3 conversations to close a deal, 3 presentations to close a deal, right? So how many doors or cold calls does it take to get someone to give you an electric bill and listen to a presentation, right? So I should know my numbers. I don't, right? So that should be something for the new year. Reverse engineer your numbers. Let's say if you knock on 100 doors or make 100 calls, 30, 40, 50, 60 won't even be home. Probably a large percentage will hang up the phone and slam the door in your face. And you got to be cool with that. And there's a whole way to build rapport and overcome that initial thing. That's an art and a science in and of itself that we can dive into. And maybe I could get Michael O'Donnell and some of those people to come do a training, or just he's got a ton of free stuff on YouTube, and check it out. So then maybe 10 people will hear out what you say. Of those, probably 7 will tell you to go fuck yourself. They don't need solar. I'm busy. My dog's barking. I got to make dinner. What are you doing on my front porch? Can't you see the sign? No soliciting. But if you have 2 or 3 people that are like, well, I've been looking at that, or, oh, my bills are high. Out of that, you get some electric bills. If you sit down with 3 of them and you close 1, right? So your numbers, right? 100 cold outreaches to maybe get 10 or 20 or 30 good conversations to get 10 electric bills. And out of those 10 presentations, you close 1 or 2 or 3, you could be making 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 grand in a month, and helping that homeowner save 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 grand over the next 20 years that they can put for more important stuff that you'll be glad that you bothered them and interrupt their dinner and, got them to sit down and talk to you. So I look at that as hunting, going out into the wild to try and, pound the pavement, beat the bushes, as they say. And traditionally that's been door to door. Cold calling, I love. People also think that's dead. There's some great training that Jim also got on, Rich got on, the Panda Kid. He's great. I think James is his name. None of that's rocket science either, but there's an art and a science of how to cold call someone out of the blue that's not expecting you, how to develop rapport, right? A dog comes up to you right away, and the reason the dog sniffs you in the region it does is it's smelling your pheromones. Right away, are we going to fight or another F word, right? Humans dance around it. Where are you from? What school did you go to? What sports team did you like? Blah, 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 right? Basically what they're getting at is, can I trust you? Can I open the door and let you in to break bread, and trade with you, right? Or are you going to poison my village and burn down my village and steal all my stuff? Humans dance around that. Dogs get right to it, right? So what they're scenting for is, can I trust you? Can I trust you as a human being? And so there's a lot of stuff with body language and tonality and mirroring and all kinds of more subtle things to get people, really, because as we were talking about before, we are tribal animals. We are tribal creatures. We want to let them in, have people let us into their tribe and trust us. We can sit down. If we can sit down at the table and break bread, solar's a no-brainer. Every presentation with solar, if they haven't considered it, should start out as, this sounds too good to be true. It sounds like bullshit. We don't live in the tropics. Nothing's free. What's the catch? What the hell are you talking about? At the end of the presentation, it should be like, oh, well, that's a no-brainer. Why isn't everyone doing this? I've got Netflix, not cable. I've got a cell phone, not a landline. Like, I've got Amazon. Like, technology has disrupted every other industry in my life, but people haven't heard about this one. But getting through to let them sit down at your tribe, that's the main thing here, I think, right? Is to be able to instantly develop rapport with strangers, right? Through Socratic questioning, through, the way to be interesting to people is to be interested in them authentically, right? Like, when I go to a lot of networking, which is how I met Jim, and like, I love going to business network, and we'll talk about that. I consider that like farming or fishing, right? Most people are like, hi, I'm Bob. I do insurance and I have 2.5 kids in a picket fence. Or you go to a high school reunion, well, what are you up to? Well, you're like name, rank, serial number. And that stuff's important. That's a part of who you are. But I ask people, I'm always legitimately interested in like what lights people's socks on fire. If you hit the lottery tomorrow, where would you go and what would you be doing? What are you most passionate about? What do you jump out of bed? Like, to get beyond sports and weather, right? Or if sports is really your thing, go 2 and 3 questions down on sports. Not just like, oh, you like the Eagles, I like the Eagles, or I like the Steelers or the Yankees, whatever. Like, right, like really go down. Like, why are you passionate about sports or fishing or whatever you're into, right? And really, that is what advertising is doing in other industries, right? And this solar pitch doesn't fit on a 30-second commercial yet. AI can't fully do it yet. It will be soon. So make hay while the sun's shining before the robots replace all of our jobs. But hopefully in the next 3, 5, 7 years, you can create financial freedom and abundance by helping people. But that doesn't exist for this. So like, I legitimately, what they're doing on that advertising and marketing, not to get too philosophical, but they're creating a desired emotional response, and they're pair bonding their product and their service with that, right? You see, like we're talking about the dude with the wind in his hair and riding down in a convertible, and this whole lifestyle, and it's a freaking drug commercial, or for life insurance, or for a washing machine that has nothing to do with any of those. Like if you look at those drug commercials that are illegal in Europe, by the way, and you turn off the sound, and it's like happy people frolicking, and it's like side effects may include, like, you know what I mean? Like, so my point is that they're painting an emotional picture. I do that by asking people questions and authentically being interested and connecting with them as a human being, not as a salesperson, not as a transactional relationship with commission breath, right? It's like I'm legitimately interested. Like if we were having a sales conversation, this would not be me ranting. I mean, you've all seen me do it. I rant and rave a little bit. To me, that's me transferring my emotion and my surety. But to really have a human connection, once you spit out the pitch, right, on the door to door or the cold calling or whatever, you get out the pitch: popcorn, peanuts, cold beer. You got to pitch everyone all the time, everywhere, like old school pitch man. But then to really make a human connection, it's like, oh, Rich, tell me about that. Oh, really? Of your vacation when you were down in the Caribbean snorkeling and fishing, or up in the mountains, or like, the reason I'm asking that is there's a precise reason, is because those are like your peak emotional periods, right? Like it's like the people's Instagram reel, they're like fake highlight reel of their life. Most people's lives aren't like that 99% of the time. But like I'm legitimately interested in that. So my point is, when I go to a networking event, if I have a table at a farmer's market or a spring fair or a harvest festival, or the person in the Uber, or the person sitting next to me on the train or the plane, like I'm asking them questions about themselves, and I'm legitimately interested, and I keep going 2 and 3 and 4 down, and I make a connection. And then you find a way to casually weave in solar, because almost everyone you meet that owns a home is paying too much for electricity, and you can save them money. So that's what I consider hunting: going out to the market and the world and pitching everyone all the time. Farming, look at more like planting seeds to build a long-term referral-based business. You can't necessarily predict this per se. This is you're planting seeds all the time to pay off down the road, right? So this is ambassadors, right? Referral partners. Clover leaf is what we used to call it. When you have an install, go knock around the area. Hey, sorry, we're making noise. Did you see the Johnsons are doing this? Blah, blah, blah. Have a solar party or a barbecue at the install. Everyone you talk to, offer them, I'll bring the barbecue and the beer if we can invite some of your neighbors and let them know what's going on, and you're going to get 500, $1,000 for any installs. Have your customers and your installs become Facebook friends. Have them post about it and tag you. Also have them tag your favorite. Have them tag you and their favorite charity. So one lady's getting back to passions. She volunteers at a dog rescue. Someone else has the PTA mom at their thing. Another person's the football coach. And so not only is that person going to make referral money, but I offer to donate $100 to the charity of their choice. It's not much. It's not Mother Teresa. When people are skeptical of a sales pitch and they're skeptical, what's the catch? But charity, not to take advantage of charity, but actually wanting to do something good, again, not Mother Teresa. But not only that, all of their whole network is seeing it. And anyone who follows, the Jonestown dog rescue sees that. And people want to do something good. They want to be a part of something. When we're getting into some of this tribal stuff, and we'll get into that later, of building a brand and building a tribe, right? That's what you see something, like an Apple or a Tesla or Coca-Cola. Like you can get crappy flavored sugar water that used to have cocaine in it anywhere. You can get a non-Apple computer that costs less money. You can, like, you don't need these things, but they've built a brand, they've built a tribe, right? They've built an identity. So people long desperately to belong to something, right? They long to be a part of something, right? And unfortunately, in our society, a lot of our traditional social networks are kind of falling. Civic things, people don't know their neighbors as much. Kids can't go run around in the neighborhood like you used to. The influence of religion, probably for better. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but that's fading on society. So these traditional, like, networks that people have aren't quite there as much. So people desperately long to belong, right? That's why sports is so powerful, right? We are tribal creatures, whether we're consciously aware of it or not, right? So you put on that hat and that jersey, and you can exercise those passions and primitive feelings and belong to something. So my goal here is building a tribe of people, right? So I create a newsletter, right? It's free on MailChimp for up to like 2,000 people. Have a seasonal, like, quarterly newsletter, and you give, ask. The goal of that newsletter is referrals, right? So, hey, here's a cool story about solar. Hey, it's now the winter. Surprisingly, did you know solar works better in cold weather? We have shorter days. Solar works on the North Pole, the satellites in space. Here's a couple interesting articles. Hey, did you know we offer 500 to 1,000 for any referrals? Love to send you some holiday money. Springtime, hey, the sun's coming out. Here's a couple articles. Summertime, hey, I'd love to send you Happy Energy Independence Day. Love to send you 500,000 bucks for your vacation to the beach or the mountains. Right? So that like basically copying realtors, right? When Rich and I used to work at Solar City, we had those channel partners, it's called, the people in Home Depot and Best Buy setting up in-home appointments. My calendar was filled 2 or 3 appointments a day. Oh God, I wish that those days could come back again. Yeah. And I didn't even really think about this, right? And all of a sudden, Elon bought Solar City and merged it and said, we're done doing that, and we're done doing door knocking. We have this brand, go figure it out. People are going to come to us. So I was in the lurch and I had no idea how to generate business. So I went to a BNI event and I met some realtors and I copied realtors. So realtors have a brand. They have whatever the, Remax or Keller Williams or whatever, but they're responsible for building their whole referral business. So copy what they're doing, right? The business card magnet with the calendar of the local sports team, a solar phone charger with your business card on it, right? People always have their phones. They're always losing power. So give them a $10 or $20 solar phone charger. I should have one here somewhere. That has probably made me several $100,000. So go on Amazon and order a $10 or $15 phone charger. And when I would be, whether I was at an event, at a table, at a networking event, at someone's kitchen table, at someone's front door, when I was set up in the Tesla showroom in the King of Prussia Mall, I had this solar phone charge and I would hand that to everyone I met, get that in their hand, put my hands in my pocket, and not let them give it back to me until I was done my elevator pitch. You should have an elevator pitch that's 3 minutes and 33 seconds long, right? You look at a pop song, that's the length of a pop song because that's the human attention span. So you have 3 seconds or probably 0.3 seconds to disrupt their pattern, right? Whether they're shopping at Home Depot, they're walking through the Harvest Festival, they're in a mall, right? We love to buy, but we hate to be sold, right? That's probably our national religion is consumerism. Not to get too judgmental or whatever, but Thanksgiving, the day after that, people wake up at 3 a.m. to go to Walmart to buy crap from a sweatshop, and they're beating everyone up to get the stupid, cheap consumer goods after saying how thankful they were, right? And a lot of people that are making excuses, oh, well, it's the winter, it's the holidays, people are I'm going to just hang up my boots until, January 1st, or, oh, people are still hungover, so maybe the middle of January. Bullshit. We're literally in a orgy of consumerism. People just spent so much money buying stuff. And I love giving gifts in the traditions and family and friends and all that kind of good stuff. But don't get it twisted. Do not hang up your boots at the at the end of fall and pick it back up in the middle of spring, right? People are buying electricity every single day. People just went into a lot of debt over Christmas and the holidays. People could really use some saving money. They could really use $1,000 ambassador check. they could really use help on their electric bills. A lot of middle class and lower middle, a lot of people are hurting with the expenses of life. We can really help them. So like, don't feel like you're bothering someone, you're annoying someone. Like, look at everyone you meet. I want to help you save money. I want to give you a check for 30 grand. I want to show you how to get a tax credit for $10,000 on April. I want to save your family $100,000 over the next 30 years if you own it. I want to make your house $20,000 or $30,000 more valuable when you go to sell it, so you can invest in your kids, in your retirement fund, in your kids' college, right? Like, that's my thing, is like, so what keeps me going to handle all the rejection, because there's a lot of rejection, is like, all right, I'm trying to help you. If you're not ready to hear that message, that's cool. Have a great day, right? I know I'm bouncing around a bunch of ideas, so I'm just kind of ranting. The coffee's kicking in. But like, the person that it was, I guess, a young girl that sold the most Girl Scout cookies ever, right? Her philosophy was, she had a quote: "Some will, some won't. So what? On to the next." Right? Like, you can't take it personal. You're gonna have 90% rejection. If you can have only 90% rejection, you can still make several $100,000 and help a lot of people. Even look at baseball. The best Hall of Fame hitters, 300%. That means they struck out 70 or 80% of the time, right? So you just got to keep, I know I make a lot of analogies. When I'm explaining solar to people, I make lots of analogies, right? With the cell phone, with cable to Netflix, with, because people have made that transition in other places in their life. It's something they can understand. It's why I hand people the solar phone charger, what I don't have right here. Should have it somewhere else. But Google solar phone charger on Amazon and order one. The cool thing about that is it enables people to visualize what you're saying. Oh, that's right. Phone charger and 3-minute pop song. They can visualize what you're saying and they hold it in their hand. Like, oh, this charges your phone. Okay, I can see that. My phone's always losing power, because no one knows what a kilowatt is. I don't know what a kilowatt is, like, and I read tons of books about like the science of this stuff, right? Like, I read a lot of books about the physics, and I don't know what a kilowatt is. What's your electric bill? I don't know. I don't care. It's on auto pay. But oh, my phone's always losing power. And you're telling me you plug this in here and you could see the wheels spinning, right? And now also my hands are in my pocket. So in real life and digital, I guess it's something different. I'll teach you about that. But I won't let them give me that phone back until I give my pitch. Right? You have that 3 seconds to disrupt their pattern, to disrupt what they're doing, right? They're going about their life at the event or in the retail space or on the other end of a cold call or the other end of a cold knock. And you have like, boom, something to throw them off kilter. And it's not, "Hi, my name is Steve calling about blah, 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 click." No, right? I call people like we're already best friends. It's weird how people clam up in a sales situation, right? Like, or public speaking, but they're great with their friends, right? So I imagine the person on the other end of the phone is like one of my best friends. So I'm like, "Hey, Rich, how's it going?" For half a second, it throws Rich off kilter. And he's like, "Wait a minute. Do I know this person? Should I know this person? Did I get too drunk last night at the thing and give my number and forget? Was I supposed to be somewhere?" So you have just a little bit off kilter where he thinks he might maybe know me, right? And so his defense mechanisms aren't quite up yet of like, salesperson click, right? And then I'm talking, "Oh, cool. We got any fun plans for the weekend? What's going on? Oh, cool. How was last weekend? And it's small talk, but it's trying to small talk about life, interesting things, so we can connect as humans." And he's like, "Yeah, yeah. Who is this? I don't remember who this was." "Oh, hey, Rich, it's Steve. I don't know if you got, seen the trucks in the neighborhood or got our flyer or got my call last week. We're, upgrading the electrical system or installing solar in the neighborhood, blah, blah, blah," going to my pitch.
Hey,
But
Steve,
like,
real quick, one of the big takeaways I got from that Panda call training thing that he did was, instead of saying like, "Hey, how's it going?" or anything like that, it's
oh, did we lose you, Rich? Oh, I'll have to send Rich the link to jump back in. Let's see here. Oh, send it to the Stones. Nice. Let's see. We'll have to get Rich to come back in. He was talking about Panda, who does the cold call training. And the point being is talking to people like human beings, Oh, there's Rich. You back, Rich? He's connecting now. All right. So you're
Sorry
at
about that.
Panda. Oh, all good.
Yeah, no, my kid was blowing up my phone. I was trying to hang up on him. And,
Probably good to interrupt me to get a breath of air. Sorry, not sorry if I go off on the
well,
soapbox there a little bit.
you were on your soapbox, so that's why I want to jump in. No, one of the cool things with James in the Panda calling was his whole introduction, his quick little, like you talk about interrupting that thought pattern. Instead of saying things like, how's it going? How have you been? And like that, his wording was very specifically, how have you been? Was his exact wording was, because it makes people instantly think, wait, do I know you? Have we talked before? Like it stops that thought pattern and it instantly puts you in that very brief moment as not a salesperson, but as someone they potentially know or have talked to in the past.
Yeah,
Sorry,
and no, please, anyone, please feel free to chime in and interrupt, especially when I get going and go off weird tangents. I'm half Italian and Irish, so to me, interrupting means active listening. Gonna let the dog here out on the porch for a second as we're talking here. Can you hear me all right? So yeah, and that's the point, right? Is connecting with them like you already know them, because like that's my whole thing is everyone's a potential client, they don't even know it yet, and it's a great offer. The lease doesn't cost anything, so just like connecting with people, and these are things we do normally, naturally in our normal life, but somehow here we're like trying to reinvent the wheel of like how do we talk to people, and it's go forth and have conversations, and when you're talking to them, how do we talk to them in such a way that they're willing to listen to us, right? And connect. Hey, buddy, you're Eli. Come on. In such a way that they want to listen. And to get back to our 3-minute and 33-second pop song, 3 seconds to disrupt what they're doing. Hey, cool shirt, cool shoes. Oh, did you go to that concert? Oh, cool hat. Did you see the so-and-so sports game last night? Your 30-second is your elevator pitch. Hey, you hand them the phone. Did you know we can install solar at your house for no cost and lower your rates? There's lots of tax credits, blah, 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 whatever your pitch is. To earn the three, then to go into that's like the chorus of the song, the hook, to do the 3-minute pitch about the value proposition. Here's how the PPA and the loan works. We install it, we get lower rates, there's tax credits, blah, blah, blah. To earn the 30-minute presentation, whether that's at the kitchen table, in a retail environment. Here you go, buddy. Let's go out on the porch. There you go, up. Or on the phone, right? And then once they can do that, they're willing to listen to it. What else do we have here? Sorry, I got distracted letting the dog out. We have lunch channel partners. That's another good thing, right? So copying real estate agents, channel partners like real estate people, contractors, roofers, HVAC people. Instead of just us reinventing the wheel and knocking on 100 doors or making 100 calls, how about people that are in the home services industry that are dealing with those people all the time? They might already have a massive book of business, and they might have 5, 10, 100 salespeople in their roofing company. And with interest rates and the economy and blah, 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 maybe real estate gets hot and cold and mortgages get hot and cold. These are great salespeople with a huge existing network we can tap into. So beyond just individual sales, how can we tap into whole networks and build up referral partners that way? And so that's, offer lunch and learns. Real estate people need continuing credits. I don't know if solar gets them actual certified credits, but when Elon took away Home Depot, I offered to bring donuts and bagels to all the real estate people, because a lot of them, some of the real estate people really don't like solar. They've had a bad experience in the past that made it hard to transfer a home. Some of the older PPAs might have been clunkier. Now they're a lot better. So they're going to, whether they like it or not, they're going to come across that more and more. So I just want to put myself out as a resource of, hey, like, I know real estate people have a 50-50 take on solar. Some people love it, some people hate it, but you're going to see it more and more. So I'd like to be a resource of, if you need help transferring a house or explaining why it's a good house to purchase. Hey, here's a bunch of data that homes with solar typically sell for 4 to 9% more. I know real estate people might not like Zillow, but here's a study from the Department of Energy and the Forbes and all different kinds of resources. Over a decade of data shows that people are not only willing to spend more money for a home with solar, but it sells faster. What I want to do is convert all of those people to become allies to spread this message for us, right? So I'm not having to do it one-off all the time. Another sort of corollary of channel partners there is find someone that owns a business. I met someone, Jim probably knows him from a burrito shop that was at our thing, a coffee shop, a yoga place, a gym, and say, hey, can I put a raffle basket in your shop? Make you an ambassador. So anyone that signs up, our company is going to send you 500 or 1,000 bucks. Spend $100 worth of buying their stuff, a gift basket of all their coffee and stuff like that to, promote their business. So I'm not just like, it's not just blatantly me being salesy or whatever, right? It's all like subtle ways to be salesy without being salesy or whatever, if that makes sense. Basically, no one wants you posting up proselytizing to their customers in their shop, right? But if I say, hey, our company has this program, we work with local businesses, we want to promote local business, we're going to do $100 worth of, buy $100 worth of your stuff. Anyone who signs up and takes an appointment, we're going to give $10 gift cards for your business. And anyone that like signs up on the solar offer, our company will send you $1,000. A lot of people would be open to something like that. So I've done that before, where literally people will fill out name, contact. Now you want to put over 18, yes, no. You also want to put if they are a homeowner or not, because in the beginning I had a lot of people that were, teenagers that didn't own a home that wanted to win, and so I didn't feel comfortable. I started calling them. I was like, oh, that's weird. I can't. You got to put over 18. Do you own a home? Are you interested in learning about solar? And then you now have a whole bunch of people that you can drip on, like add to your newsletter, follow up and call, or schedule several appointments, right? Same thing, I would do this also. So that's channel partners, right? Like Solar City did with Home Depot and Best Buy, but doing it on a smaller, more organic scale in your community, right? The hardware store, the bookshop, the coffee shop, like the thing that in your life that the people in your community go. You don't need to do a multi-million-dollar deal with Home Depot to get in front of homeowners. A corollary of that, I guess that's a good segue perhaps into fishing, right? So hunting, farming, and fishing. Hunting's cold outreach, farming is like planting seeds, long-term, trying to build a referral. Fishing, I would consider more like traditional advertising and marketing, both digital and in real life. So to get to the raffle, one of my favorite things to do, because I wasn't too comfortable doing door-to-door. I felt awkward. I don't know if that's my own internal psychology or I felt like I was bothering people. Don't do that yourself. Get over that. Get over yourself. Don't listen to me in that aspect. Listen to Michael O'Donnell and go make 300 or 400 or 500 grand knocking some doors, helping people. I just was never that good at it. I liked events, right? I love going to music festivals and things like that. So to me, an event was cool because I could set up a raffle table and put out free water and candy and a raffle wheel. I hired a face painter before, bag toss, things like that to kind of, not to sound creepy, but to lure people in and then occupy them or occupy their kids so I could talk to their parents. And so they're entering my free raffle, $100 worth of stuff related to the event. I have, in addition to a solar phone charger, a solar backpack, some cool stuff that people are going to want to enter a free raffle. As they're entering the raffle, I would hand them my solar phone charger and pitch them on solar, my elevator pitch, 3-minute, 33-second song, and blah, blah, blah. We install it for free. Hey, it only takes 5 or 10 minutes to qualify. You get good sun at your house, blah, blah, blah. And this is where appointment setting, right? In the beginning with solar, we're not pitching solar. We're pitching an appointment to see if you qualify or take you know, 5, 10, 15 minutes of not a big deal, just to see if you qualify. But one thing I noticed from the door-to-door guys and Danny Myers, who was the best appointment setter like in all of Solar City, I'll have him on for a training. There's a whole bunch of subtle body language stuff and tonality and things he was doing. You know, he was at the Home Depot, or let's say you're an event at, you have a table at an event, and when you have you know, stand off chest to chest, people are defensive, right? Like back to my thing with the dog, right? Like, can I trust you? We're standing off. What's going on here? And his whole big thing was to be like, step back a little bit, punch his shoulder a little bit, seem casual and laid back, and then try to turn his shoulder. Eventually, you give your pitch, but you want to get them to be looking at their house. So it'd be like, hey, most houses don't qualify, right? FOMO, take it away. And you want to get their house pulled up on a satellite and then looking at it side by side. So you go from a standoff salesperson trying to take advantage of them, or at least most salespeople in most all of their life have been, to like a trusted advisor that's side by side looking at their house. And when you take it away, a lot of times people get like real like prideful and protective of their house. Like if I'm trying to pitch someone on solar, like, yeah, not interested, not interested. And you're like, oh, well, that's all right. Most homes don't qualify anyway. You know, you need to have good sun and good credit. And they're like, oh, my house just bakes. You know, meanwhile, they live in the forest. Like, my house is so great and I have great credit. And, and then all of a sudden they're like, it's weird, the reverse psychology of it. My point being is there's an art to that. And again, you want to copy and paste from other people that are better than me at it, and learn from them. But like events are great because you can talk to like hundreds of people in a fun day. People are listening to music, they're eating food, they're drinking, they're maybe, you know, they're having fun, right? It's not like a standoffish sales thing. That's also why I like networking events so much, right? Google business networking near me, Chamber of Commerce, LaTip, BNI, you know, there's tons of them. There's a ton that happen online every single day. A lot of them are free. A lot of them are going to get you to hit you up eventually to pay a couple $100 to join, but you can go to free ones like every other day of the week, because people are there to business network. At a festival, people are there to have a good time, enjoy themselves, and they're more open. So a good event could set you up for the whole season, right? Like do one event, talk to 100 people, get 50 people to fill out your raffle. Maybe you get 5 or 10 or 15 willing to take a brief, quick appointment. And right there, you have your solar phone charge in your hand. You're pitching the basic gist to them. And then, you know, you have a couple appointments to go out to their house, or I schedule everything on Zoom. We can have a whole presentation about virtual and in real life, whatever works for you. But that way is a more fun, less confrontational way, in my experience, to get them to listen to your pitch. But you know, there's a lot of different strategies here for what might work for you, or different things for different people. Does anybody have any questions about any of that stuff? I know I've ranted probably for like a solid hour here. Any questions about any of those different strategies?
Steve, can we get copies of the PowerPoint that you use when you show to prospects? And would that be appropriate, say, for a program at the library that the library promulgates for us?
Yeah, I definitely can send this out. So we'll get everybody's email for sure. Yeah, I think a library would be great that you could do. You mean like do a presentation at a library, or like a lunch and learn type thing, or
Yeah. Yes, and the library, say Mercer County, has programs, and they put out flyers throughout the library. And if they agree to do it, then people will come.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Again, like what I was talking before, Jim has like lots of experience in other like more traditional sales stuff, right? And so like the solar guys had only ever really thought about door to door or setting up at Home Depot. And right away, Jim's like, oh, I have a guy from a call center. I met Jim business networking. No one was really doing that in solar at the time. And that's a great idea, right? Meet people in their natural environment where you're sharing information with them. And again, instead of just pitching one-on-one, can you pitch to 10 or 20 or 50 people? That was the idea behind the lunch and learns at real estate agencies. Also the idea, we used to do that like at Home Depot. We would tell people throughout the week, they would set appointments. Hey, bring your electric bill on Saturday. We're going to do like a homeowner clinic about energy efficiency and get a light bulb, get an LED light bulb or something. And we had like 10 people bring their electric bill on a Saturday. And I pitched 10 people at once instead of one-offs, and 2 or 3 signed up. We subsequently got yelled at that we weren't allowed to sell deals in Home Depot. You had to go in their house. I've gotten yelled at every step of the way. We weren't allowed to do virtual. We weren't allowed to sell in the Tesla showroom, and all of those strategies all worked. So whatever works for you, right? That's kind of the cool thing about this is there's like, you can kind of do whatever you want, whatever works for you, whatever works for your homeowners, your community, adapt some of these strategies. All you got to do is get 1 or 2 that works well. I know I'm kind of like rapid fire throwing a bunch of stuff out, but like, if you can master, or not even master, but just have the fortitude to, come on in, Eli, come on, to do door to door for 2 hours a day, 4 or 5 days a week, 3 days a week, make cold calls for an hour or 2 each morning or whenever, get some channel partners in your local community, have a pizza shop that'll let you put stickers on their pizza boxes, or a coffee shop, or whatever that works for you, just to get some conversations with people. It all works, right? And
Steve, how much of this presentation is in your pitch presentation when you're pitching a client?
None of it. Well, some of the spiel about I like to make the case of the economics and the history of solar. I know I go into that more than most, but I tell a little bit of the history of it because people are naturally skeptical of most all salespeople, right? Back to the dog sniffing you out. And they should be, because a lot of times people have been taken advantage of it historically. And to them, solar seems new. It seems too good to be true, right? So all these common objections, I like to get in front of their objections ahead of time. So my pitch, I'll go into the history of like, you remember where you were for the moon landing, to build off the existing trust of the military, that this is proven military technology that's 100 years old. I name drop all the big businesses that have solar. So I'm building the case to them that this is a proven technology that's been around for a long time. So I go into way more than probably most people do, and maybe you should, maybe not though, because a lot of people go right into features and benefits. And to me, features and benefits is not selling solar. You know what I mean? Like a widget and the this and the that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's, that matters, right? When we're getting back to people buying on emotion and justifying with logic, the numbers have to matter. The math has to the math has to work, right? Like rainbows and butterflies isn't moving it. I don't care how much emotion you generate. And it needs to make sense. So I kind of look at it like old school, kind of like, remember making a paper in high school, an English paper where you make your thesis, and then you have your data points to prove your case, and then you make your conclusion. And so I structure it. That's a whole other point for another training of how to do the presentation. I structure it as like, here's my thesis, right? That solar is going to help save you money and you should do it. Here's the case of my argument, right? 100-year-old military technology. Lots of big businesses are using it. The economic case with tax credits, blah, blah, blah. Then we're going to get to the end, and we have a process that it follows the same process every time. So I want to set the tone of like, here I'm bouncing all over. I should probably train on how to lead trainings. So just rapid fire bunch of bullshit that's in my brain. But with a customer, I have a very set pattern. Set the agenda. Here's what we're going to do. Thanks for taking the time. We're going to look at your house on the satellite. We're going to see how much energy you're using. We're going to go over the different options and see how it all works, see which option saves you the most. If it makes sense, we're going to have an engineer come out, get some measurements, see how it all works. Does that make sense? Cool. Right. And so you have a set thing where you're telling them what's going to happen. You're doing it. You're telling them what happened, and you're assuming the next steps, right? Like we're assuming, okay, what's next is, okay, we're going to get qualified. Of course, you pay your electric bills on time. Soft credit check doesn't affect your score. Okay, what's your birthday? Boom. Oh, you were born then? Oh, cool. Did you see any good concerts in the 80s? Or, oh, you were born in the 60s. How old were you when we landed on the moon? Did you ever see the Beatles? Like making what could be an awkward situation of them giving you their birthday and their social security number and signing a 25-year contract, right? Semantics matter. You never sign a contract. They authorize an agreement where it is a soft credit check. So we're, it doesn't, no harm for them to check it out, right? So, and people will follow authority. That's another thing, right? People will follow authority blindly, which is sad and dangerous as we see rising reactionary fascism in the world, unfortunately. But like people will give you name, rank, serial number, right? Like the doctor in the white lab coat. I don't know if you ever read about the Stanford experiment or the Milgram experiment, where somebody in a white lab coat, they told people to like, someone was behind a door and they kept telling them to turn up the electricity, like 1 to 10. And like 1 was like, ow, I'm being shocked. 10 was like, you electrocuted everyone. Every single person electrocuted the person behind the wall. Now, granted, on the other side of the wall, they were not hooked up to electricity. The people in the white lab coats were fellow college students. They were not doctors. The point being is that people will follow authority. So on that door, on the phone, at the event, at the kitchen table, on the Zoom, you also have 3 minutes to establish yourself as the authority, as the trusted authority that knows what they're talking about, that's there to diagnose a problem like a doctor and prescribe a solution, and have confidence and have authority that what I know I'm offering is going to help them, and we're going to help them take action, right? I'm not Google. I'm not here to give you information about solar. I'm here to give you enough information to help you make a decision. And no doesn't hurt my feelings. I'd rather a hard no than a maybe, right? I'm going to push 2 and 3 objections. You're going to sign a contract that night, or you're going to tell me to get lost and you're not interested. Some people are going to follow up, but like I'm of the Michael O'Donnell school of philosophy. Like I'm not selling a mattress. There's nothing to sleep on. If you don't understand this, either I suck at explaining solar, or you're too dumb to get it, or you don't qualify. It's as simple as that when you look at the numbers of solar. Now, granted, some people are legitimately going to be moving. Granted, some people, might not qualify. There are some things that, are actual circumstances, but most objections are usually smokescreens because, let's face it, a PPA literally costs nothing and saves them money from day one. But most people don't know it exists. So, it's something that everyone should do. To me, it's a given. Like literally, I was like shocked watching commercial. And see, I'm always making analogies, right? Not to jump from topic to topic. I'm just trying to include a lot of content here. I'm going to try to organize this better for the future, but I'm always making analogies and telling stories, right? Feel, felt, found. People don't respond like when we do commercial solar. A lot of this, there's still the rapport, there's still the storytelling, but it's more business people looking at a spreadsheet and an ROI versus an IRR versus net present value and all these financial concepts that are mostly above my head. But they're making a logical, reasoned business decision. People at their home are not. People in your home, this is your castle, this is your cave that you're very emotional about protecting and providing for your family, as well you should. But you're operating more of an emotion in a residential space. So I'm making analogies all the time. The landline to cell phone, the cable to Netflix. You've heard me say it 10 times. I'm going to say it 10 more times, right? Because people understand that. They've done that in their life, right? Like, and storytelling, telling does not sell. Storytelling, where you create an emotion and you ask them Socratic leading questions. If you know from Bill and Ted, Socrates, right? Socrates would ask people questions to get them to answer it themselves and make them feel like they came up with the answer, but you were guiding them. Those were guided questions. You got them to where you wanted to get to, right? And so as you take them kind of along that journey with storytelling and things, is like with my mom, like legitimately, Mom, why are you spending $100 for cable? I like to watch my shows. What the hell are you talking about? I'm like, no, well, you can watch your shows without commercials, and you can watch whatever you want on demand with no commercials, and it learns what you like probably knows you more than you know yourself. Like that's a given. To us, it's absurd that someone does not have Netflix, right? Or streaming. Right now you got like 10 of them and they're phantom subscriptions and it probably costs more than cable used to cost and there's still nothing interesting to watch or whatever. But like it to people that are digital natives, or I guess, you know, Rich and I are what, 80, so we were at the transformation. It's like absurd if you don't have a cell phone or Netflix, you know, and our parents are coming around to like Ubering and you know what I mean? But it's happened everywhere in our lives, right? And even with transitioning to like digital sales or online Zooms, one, business to business has done phone sales for a decade or a century, getting my times mixed up. But everyone's used to that, right? Especially if one good thing came out of the pandemic, people are more cool with like Zoom, right? Like they had to use it and learn to use it. And a lot of times, like it is kind of intimate coming to someone's house anyway, and they might not want to do that. So they might be more comfortable on their terms. Now you need to get your tonality and you know body language and stuff. You don't have all the skills you have in person. You know, like when you're going into someone's house and still virtually. But remember the Usual Suspect movie with Kaiser Sose? Remember that? And like he makes up the whole story based on like the books that would be on Jim's bookshelf, right? A whole story that's all he's in a police station being interviewed. So when you go to someone's house, they give you everything you need to know about them. Same thing with Facebook and all that, which all that is massive data collection to manipulate people to buy stuff. It's awesome for business. I can't stand it for what it's doing to society. Another story, but for business, it's a great tool. So you go in there and they tell you everything you need to know about them. And that's what I would, in the early days of going into people's homes, I would have like 3-hour appointments with them. Like I would not talk about solar until they brought it up. I would be going all about, you know, and not just like I was saying, sports and weather. Like, oh, I see you have an Eagles or a Phillies flag on your front yard. Like, cool, I like them too. Like, really get into it. Like, oh, did you see the game or blah or whatever they're into, right? You're going to see what sports their kids play. I would love to. I have people that are like best friends that some of them I've never met, that they tell me I know all about their grandkids and their pets and their vacation and their retirement and their like that's what I want to become, as a friend in a texting relationship with them. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you get long-term referrals, right? Here is, I guess this was the other slide. I don't know what question you asked there, Rich. I just sort of going on, but like how to basically do people's social networks and then have them become ambassadors for you, right? And so I'm like talking to them, and this is what we do with our normal friends. It's weird how sometimes in sales, like we like don't do that and become kind of like awkward about it. Like, yes, I'm following up as per our thing for your home assessment meeting. It's like, I'm like, yo, Rich, what's up, man? How was your weekend? Oh, cool. How's the dog? Did you get the dog back from the vet? How's his leg doing? Oh, cool. How was the fishing trip? Oh, great. Cool. Okay. So yeah, your buddy Bob, you know, we were talking, and I'm going to have, first of all, Bob is going to have a text relationship introducing me and Rich. You know what I mean? And then, yes, we're going to get into the business. We're going to break the bread. We're going to talk shop, all these are like cliches or whatever. Some of these cliches are there for a reason, because like some things people have been doing for thousands of years works. You know what I mean? And like technology is great to amplify things, but like don't think there's no magic wand. Like AI is not even a magic wand. We'll probably at some point, who knows, will become smarter than us. But like take these old-fashioned, old school things that our grandparents did and use technology to amplify that message. But like, you know, learn from old school stuff. Like how did the mob conduct business, right? Like sit down and develop trust and break bread. Like how does like Walmart and Amazon get customers and build evangelists for their business, for their brand, right? So like real estate people, we're building our own brand. And what we offer is unique in a lot of consumer products that are like actually cool and help people. And so like, it's basically like, how can we ingratiate ourselves and interrupt people in their day-to-day normal life and get them to give a shit about what we're saying and listen to it, and then spread the word of what we're saying out to their network, right? That to me is the goal of what we're trying to do in a in a referral based type business. But you don't get to have referrals unless you can go out there and hunt and talk to total strangers and connect with them and turn strangers into friends by asking them Socratic questions and being interested in their response and going 2 and 3 levels deep on their response and letting them lead you and having a conversation. But like, read a book about how to talk to strangers. There's a couple good ones. This one's about fearless referrals. You can't see in the background, but like, there's an art and science of how to talk to people. Most people suck at it. You know what I mean? Like if we were having a sales thing, I would not be ranting and raving like this. I would be talking to you and asking you questions and becoming your friend and becoming a trusted advisor who's now going to also be confident and be your like authority figure who's going to give you a solution, but also be like laid back and casual and telling jokes and you know what I mean? Being a human being. I don't know if that answers your question, Rich. I forget what your question was.
Honestly, I think Jim asked you for your pitch, and you mentioned that you were going to give out this slide, and I just want to clarify if this was part of your pitch or.
No. Oh, yeah. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So the pitch to homeowners is a little bit different, or a lot bit different. This pitch was a training I did, I think at Tesla or somewhere. Basically, there was a group of people that were just door knocking, and I was getting a lot of referrals, and they were like asked me to give a training of how was I getting referrals, and so kind of the strategy and the psychology and philosophy behind how to grow your referral network 10x, and using different strategies, and that's where I came with kind of I don't think I came up with it. I'm sure someone else came up with it, but the hunting, farming, and fishing analogy. Yeah, so this is more just about, I guess, sales in general and how to talk to strangers, how to make strangers allies, and then how to build networks and tribes to organically and amplified with technology and paid ads and all that kind of stuff. That's another thing we didn't talk about. Build a business and build a network for your business. The pitch to other ones, you've seen that one before, and I can give that one too. That's kind of a slightly different, or that's a lot different one. And we can go over that, like how to present solar, blah, 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 how I do it, how other people do it. But yeah, this is some of this stuff, right? Some of these, I don't know if there's anything we missed here. Planting seeds, military campaigns, some military technology, right? Like conquering territory, winning the hearts and minds, right? Like if you look at what a military campaign does, right? They would have people boots on the ground, out knocking doors, spreading pamphlets. They would literally drop pamphlets with ideology from planes. And then they would go and you'd meet with, this is a good one too. Meet with the influencers of the community, right? Like not this kind of influencer, the Instagram makeup tutorial, yoga pants influencer, an actual influencer in their community. The lady that's the head of the PTA, the guy that's the football coach, the pastor, the real estate agent, someone that's an actual trusted person. So in the military analogy, it'd be like the warlord of that area or whatever. And make them sit down with them, break bread, and make them an ally, right? Like, hey, I want to help this community. We want to do this solar, and basically meaning like that real influencer can do 100 times what you can do. You know what I mean? Because people are going to be skeptical of you, but they're going to trust their friend, right? They're going to trust the guy that said, "Oh yeah, I got solar at work that saved money. Let me hook you up with this guy." And everybody that signs up, they're donating $100 to the football team or the fall fund drive for the XYZ. That's kind of what you want to do by hacking into their stuff. What else do we got here? Groups to target: sports, scouts, civics clubs, schools, PTAs, Elks, Masons, Rotary, Women's Auxiliary, recreation, religion, charity, animals, hobbies, cars and motorcycles. I love electric car people for Tesla. Everyone with an electric car, I go and talk to them Hey, where do you charge that thing? Oh, cool. How many miles does it get? Blah, blah, blah. Where do you charge it at home? Oh, I got a charger. Have you looked at solar? Boom. So it's not as the, I know where I'm going. They think I'm just like interested in their car, right? People love their cars and they're passionate about it and they'll talk all about it. No one gives a shit about solar panels or their electric bill. Solar is boring, right? When I used to work at Tesla, we were posted up in the mall and like I saw a 20-year-old hipster kid in skinny jeans sell $100,000 car back when the Teslas were there wasn't the Model 3 or the Y. It was like 100 grand and up. Sell like 3 cars in a day, and my fucking mind was blown. And I was like, I'm never going in a house again. So everyone that walked in there aspired and wanted that car. That car was electric sex on wheels. It was clickbait. It's fast. It's cool. We're a car culture. That's America. The open road, Walt Whitman, Jack Kerouac, going down the road, like the blues, jazz. We're all the weirdo, freak, rebel outcasts that like left Europe and Asia and South America and Africa, some more willing than others, unfortunately. Like, we're all the outcasts of the world, dreamers that came here, you know, on boats hundreds of years ago or more recently, right? Like that's in our DNA. Like that's why we went to the moon. You know, there's some funny meme about all the cultures that use metric, which is more logical. And there's like America with like cut off jeans and like punk rock, like went to the moon, right? So like, anyway, we're a car culture, like mobility and those kind of things. No one cares about their electric bill. So I would like connect people. I would go to car shows when Teslas were still new and unique and bring my Tesla to classic car shows and set up next to my dad who had a Corvette, and people would talk about it. And basically the idea is, how can you connect with people without throwing up their red flag of defenses that I'm engaged in a sales thing right now? And I'm going to put up my defense of like, I don't want to be sold, but we're talking about cars. We're talking about sports. We're talking about fundraising for the school. Like different things where I can weave in. I can help you save money on your electric bill. You know what I mean? That's kind of, I guess, what I'm getting at with a lot of this type of stuff. But EV people, dude, join EV groups, join car groups, go to car shows in real life and online. And if you don't have an electric car, get one, ideally one made in the US. There's tax credits for that too. Those are natural people to target that already get this. You know what I'm saying? Back at Solar City, we used to have the solar parties. That's pretty explanatory, right? Like the Tupperware party. And just like pitch that to everyone, right? Everyone you get installed. Hey, our company has a program. They call it Sunraising, where we donate, $100 to the charity of your choice. We give you $500 to $1,000. We have a budget. When you're throwing around $500,000, I always say it's the company, not me, because they might be like, well, how the hell much are you making if you're giving me that much? Because that, you know what I mean? We're throwing around a lot of money sometimes. So I say the company. The company has a budget for solar parties. We'll pay for the beer and the barbecue. Invite some of your neighbors, and anyone that signs up, the company will send you $1,000. Boom. And I tell a story. Hey, I had this one lady that posted it on Facebook. A lot of her friends were like, what are you talking about? 6 signed up. She made $6,000. She took that and she went on vacation to Caribbean. She's always wanted to go, and she paid off for something, or she got a deck or something that like make an emotional connection with what you're going to do with that savings or that money or whatever. And most people you pitch that to out of 100, if you have 100 installs, 95% aren't going to want to have a solar party, 99%, 97%. But you're going to have a few people that are like the in real life influencers of their community, right? There's this one guy, Kevin O'Donoghue. The football field is named after O'Donoghue. His dad was the head of the union. He has 6 or 7 kids. Coolest dude, right? They're on all the teams. He's doing the PTA boosters. He's like, they're involved. He has pool parties all the time. This guy's a social butterfly. There's another great book in The Tipping Point. He transitions people. It's how ideas and products go viral and cross the tipping point from on that S curve of early adopters to mainstream adoption, right? And he calls people like mavens and connectors. And this dude is a connector, right? He's the kind of guy like the mafia, right? Like, oh, I got a guy. Oh, you need a roof? I got a guy. Oh, you need a landscaper? You got to call Rich. Rich is the best, blah, blah, blah. Like that mentality. And I'm also trying to do that the BNI thing of givers gain, right? And I'm just sort of riffing here, but right, I want to do that too. I want to have a network. If someone needs something, I'm always naturally wanting to promote other people. And that's going to come back tenfold, whether it's direct or indirect. One, it's just what I want to do. Like if Rich pays in a band, I'll be like, oh, dude, you got to have him. You got to go jam with this other guy. You should have him at your bar. He's fucking great. He jams. Or like whatever. Oh, I got a guy that'll do your yard so well and landscape it. He's like Picasso, right? So that when you're doing that, and that's the whole point of like the BNIs and Latips, like Jim knows, you have an army of referral people. And also you look at people like family of like, you don't just want any painter coming to your house. You want Rich. He's going to take care of you. He's going to take care of your house. He's going to treat it with pride. And that's what this guy like Kevin was. I got like 20 referrals from this dude. He connected me to everyone. He's like, you got to get solar at your house. Like he literally invited me. We had like 3 solar parties. One was at his kid's high school graduation. He had a pizza truck there. He had like 3 or 4 different like food trucks there. He's like, come set up a table at the thing. I want to make 10 grand off of referrals. And like, we're just like hanging out at his barbecue. Like it was great. And I got all these referrals. And like, there was another lady like that had her summer party and a band came and like people are in a good mood and you're having fun and you're helping people. That's I guess what it boils down to. There's a lot of, I guess, analysis and philosophy behind all that, but that's really the bottom line is find people to talk to them, explain what you have to offer, sign them up. I mean, there's a lot more to it than that, but that's kind of if you want to boil it down, you know what I mean? Guess we could go on for days. I guess I covered some of the main points. There's a lot more to all of this. Let's see. This is about Kevin. This was the story of him. Any other questions you kind of got there, Jim and Rich? Maybe we should, I guess, dial it in for next week to have some more stuff to cover. I guess I should have maybe focused a little bit more, but did any of that make any sense?
Made a ton of sense, man. I really appreciate this.
Is there any questions or anything like right now that you guys are like, go back to ground one of questions you might have about this or other stuff of like where you're starting to have some success and any things you're struggling with that we could like work on to apply how to take this out to have some more conversations with people.
Can I ask, is it honest to ask about flyers when you haven't sent any flyers?
Yeah, when the Panda guy had that pitch, I was kind of like, it's a little cringe. Like to me, ethics and doing the right thing is super important. So there's a lot of people when kids go around and they do the utility pitch, I guess they used to call it the net metering pitch. Oh, did you get the new smart meter? And they'll go around with vests and they'll pretend to half work with the electric company or some kind of government program. That's lying. That's unethical. That's wrong. That's illegal by the Attorney General. There's so many of these fucking assholes doing that, excuse my French, that give solar a bad name. And I know what they're doing. They're borrowing the authority of the utility. They're borrowing the authority of the government. Hey, I'm here in my hard hat and my vest. We're upgrading the electrical grid. Did you get your new meter? Oh, we're just here to check out your meter. There's a government program. We have to get XYZ% of solar. If you qualify, the government's going to pay for it. And we need a certain amount of homes in this neighborhood. There's parts of that are half truths, but that's like disingenuous and lying. And you don't need to do that because solar is a great deal, right? The government does have a 30% federal tax credit. The state governments do have RPS, Renewable Portfolio Standard, mandating that a certain percentage of energy is clean energy by 2030 and 2050. So that's what those SREC programs, that's what dictates the value of those, right? The utility does need to have a certain amount of people. Like that's all true, but we don't work with the fucking electric company. We're the solution to the electric company. So never, ever, ever do that. The flyer thing, that's up to you. I don't think there's anything super disingenuous. Part of the pitch with the door-to-door guys was always like, hey, you might have seen our trucks in the neighborhood, whether or not the trucks were actually in the neighborhood, but you're playing off of like when we used to do the clover leaf, when you would actually have an install in a neighborhood. And then you would show up the day of the install and bring coffee and donuts and Gatorade for the workers. Ask the homeowner, can I set up a table in your front yard? I want to get you referrals. People would go around. This was back, I don't know, who was this? Ray Davis was really good at Ray Davis,
Ray Davis was
Jim
great at it.
Iacobelli. Back in the day, they would actually go when there was an install, literally put flyers in people's mailbox. I don't think you could do their actual mailbox, is probably illegal, but in their slot thing or whatever. And then go around and knock in some of the surrounding area. Hey, sorry, we're making noise and stirring up dust. Hey, what's happened over here? Did you hear? Did Jim tell you about, Bob tell you we're getting solar? Here's what the deal is. And then we want to invite you over. We're having coffee and donuts in the morning, you know, maybe pizza and beer at night, or if it's on a Saturday or whatever, come on over and learn about it. So that people actually used to put flyers and then call up and follow up on that.
Can I give a take on this?
Kind of
There's a lot of shady stuff that goes on in this industry that impacts people in a negative financial way. You know, lying to people to get a deal closed, lying to people in ways that really impact people. Using the word lying, if you're lying about a flyer, I don't think it impacts people negatively. I think you're using it to gain a little bit of influence, to get part of that like little break in the attention span. If that's the worst thing you do in a sales environment, you're better than 99% of the guys out there, to be honest with you. So I wouldn't beat myself up over that too much, but you are right in that there's other ways to accomplish it. There's other ways to do it. But if that's the worst thing you do throughout the process, you're way ahead of the game, I think.
Yeah, and maybe frame it however you like of, hey, there's not a flyer, but people have heard about, hey, have you, what the Panda does, which is smart, which goes back to this study of the biggest influencer, right? It's not whether or not they drive a Tesla. You'd be shocked how many electric car people don't even think or never thought about solar. It shocked me. That's a huge opportunity for pairing up. One of our guys has a car charger business. But you know, you think it's the health food lady that's a hippie, or you think it's this, or you think it's that. And like, it doesn't really, like those demographics, shockingly, a lot of times don't matter. Sometimes environmentalists are the freaking worst. Sometimes the lower middle class, maybe when I moved out to Lancaster and there was more farmers and more, you know, maybe conservative folks or whatever, like they're like, they weren't doing it for the environment. They're like, yeah, save money. Shit, and farming, they're already independent.
More right-wing Trumpers than I have hippy-dippy liberals. A lot more.
Yeah, sometimes the environmentalists' perfection can be the enemy of progress, meaning like they're not as willing to take action of like, well, how are the panels made? And like, were any butterflies harmed in the, and like, I'm a hippy-dippy, right? I mean, I'm independent-minded, but like the people that are waving a sign and protesting like about the environment, so many of them like, I'm sorry, but your recyclable bag and your metal straw aren't doing shit. You mean well, they mean well. After awareness comes action, right? Like I had a group that was protesting Pico, and they asked me to come and speak about having more solar. So I came and gave my little TED talk about like, we can hook up solar on your house and school and it saves you money and blah, blah, blah. And we have the solutions, and we can lower pollution and get off foreign oil and stop polluting and stop cancer and asthma and save the turtles. And I was like, please, we can set up and take 15 minutes. We can install it on your house, see a quick meeting. One person out of those like 30 people, these people freaking, I shit you not. One guy chained himself to a pipeline protesting one of those natural gas pipelines coming through, was arrested like 7 times and proud of it. Good for him. You need certain people willing to put themselves, like, you're not going to bury like nuclear waste in our backyard. You're not going to cut down the last old growth forest. Like, you need that. But until we have a solution, like, how did you get to that protest? You drove a car, right? No one's perfect, right? At that point, electric cars were crazy expensive. They didn't really exist, right? You can make your own French fry biodiesel oil. So I'm big on like, so not complaining about problems, but being a part of the solution, and perfection being the enemy of progress. So like, unfortunately, I've seen so many times environmentalists are the least likely to take action to solve the problems. And speaking from a political perspective, like you brought up, they're also the idiots that will vote for the frickin' Green Party and get a fascist elected that will destroy 50 years of social and environmental and civil rights progress, because the centrist middle person wasn't pure enough and holy enough. And Al Gore, granddad, invested in an oil company. Like, well, okay, then you get Bush and you get an oil war for 20 years. You happy? You know, what the fuck has Ralph Nader ever done to solve anything? You know, that's people, the 5% of people that voted for Nader, or the 2% that voted for Jill Stein or Bernie or bust. That is, we're at the precipice of, if that person gets anywhere near the levers of power again, America ceases to exist as a democracy, right? So like, in politics and in business and in social movements, I think you have to study the past to see what worked and what didn't work, to craft a movement that will get people to adopt your ideas. So one of the dangers, I think, of like social media is a great advertising tool, but for society, because of the algorithm bubbles and radicalizing and the divisiveness of it, people are like exist in these little bubbles and they keep getting more and more radical. That does not bring people around to your way of thinking. Our goal here in a business perspective, and if you want to save the environment and create world peace and create blue collar manufacturing and construction jobs that can't be outsourced and get off foreign oil and save money and help the kids and help the rainforest and help the dolphins and promote a more peaceful, prosperous, abundant planet. Like solar and electric vehicles solve about 2/3 of the major pollution. You look at this book, Electrify by Saul Grippick, this other book, No Miracles Needed, basically that we have the technology to solve our problems. And not only that, it's cheaper and more cost effective. Like solar is cheaper, right? So like, I don't want to be right. I don't care about being right. I'm not like a holier than thou per. People are like, well, Al Gore flew on an airplane to a climate conference, so climate change isn't real. Like, it's a stupid, shitty straw man argument. The point is, how can we get more people to take better action that's not perfect to help start solving these problems, to start saving people money, to create jobs, right? If that person in the Rust Belt has a factory job, right, that went away and the coal mine dried up, or the textile mill, if they have a job making batteries or electric cars or solar panels and they have some education, well, they're far less likely to fall into that reactionary radicalization conspiracy rabbit hole, because they got money in their pocket and they got a job and they got better shit to do. You know what I mean? So like, kind of a tangent, but it gets back to the original point of this is, how can we ethically influence people to change their thinking about things and then take action, right? How can we get people to be open to this idea of changing where they get their energy from? You know what I mean? And that's why the Mormon kids from Utah did so great at this, because they're trained in how to evangelize people, right? Widgets, and we have 400 watt black on black with the microinverter 229 carburetor. Like, that's not going to make someone take action. They don't even understand what the hell solar and a kilowatt is. But if you can use like analogies and storytelling and press emotional triggers and ask questions and connect it to other things, and they're like, oh, that makes sense. Okay, I switched from cable to Netflix. I get that. All right, I'm saving money. I'm not a computer programmer. I don't give a shit where my entertainment comes from, as long as I press a button and it shows up on the TV. If I can save $50 a month, sure, sounds good. You know what I mean? So I think like, and there's a whole art and science and psychology behind influence and persuasion, and getting people to overcome their inertia, their fear of being taken advantage of in a sales situation, and their inertia of taking action. Because a lot of times we're more comfortable with the devil, right? Versus the fear of like, starting something new. It sounds good, but what if they screw up my roof and it got holes in my roof? And what if I go to sell my house? And what if it gets dark at night? We live in the winter. What if I get, you know what I mean? Like, those are all natural things. Those aren't smoke screens. Those are real objections. That the good news is we have real answers that are not liabilities, they're assets. It's going to make your home more valuable. It's going to protect your roof. It's going to make it last longer and stronger. You're going to get tax credits. You're going to save money. So we have like solutions for all of those. But like, I guess, well, Jim asked an original point that I went off on tangents. We start talking about environmentalists versus like more conservative farmer type folks and people that are more likely to take action. Jim asked about the flyer. So like, I would say, yeah, so put it in your own words. Say whatever you are comfortable. So I would say, like, how could we word it if you're cold calling someone? and you didn't mail a flyer. Oh, so what Panda does is, and which is smart. Oh, that's what this is. The biggest number one indicator I was talking about besides demographics and psychographics, right? Which is what people target for advertising and marketing, which we didn't touch on today, but we will. The biggest indicator is someone in their neighborhood got solar. So once they see it, it then becomes real, right? So it's like, oh, my neighbor is a normal person. My neighbor's not a tree hugger. They're not a millionaire. They're not a rocket scientist. They're not like a Carnegie. They're like a normal Joe that's paying their bills and going to work and taking care of their kids and their dog. Like they got like, how did he get solar? I thought that shit cost like 50 grand. Like I don't got 50 grand. Wait, what do you mean? You put it up? They put it up for free? What the fuck are you talking about? They put it up for free. Oh, there's these tax credits. They solar as a service. Okay, what's the catch? Nothing's free. What's the catch is there's 10 or 15 grand tax credit. I don't know about you. I hate fucking taxes. I hate the government. You hate taxes. I hate bills. Do you hate bills? Okay, so this Wall Street douchebag is willing to put up all the capital, the money. Their greedy motivation. People are skeptical naturally of altruism, right? Like a lot of philanthropy is a bullshit tax write-off. It's not really helping the people intended. People are skeptical of that. People understand greed and self-interest, unfortunately, right? Like we were trying to do a 10-acre solar farm to make, no, it was 50-acre solar farm to make this Coatesville school district where I live. It was across the tracks. It was the poor school district. I went to thing in the nice one that had all the stuff that kids need to thrive and survive. This was the poor area of town. We had investors to put up the money. It was going to, by lowering their rate 3 cents a kilowatt, they were using like 10 million kilowatts. It was going to save that school district $300,000 a year. Their rate was never going to increase. We were going to put in a STEM center and a little community garden. They were so skeptical. What's the catch? How are we going to get taken advantage of? They went to all this stuff that they would not take the offer. School across town, somebody came in and wanted to put a natural gas pipeline that crossed underneath the fucking sports fields, and they paid them 150 grand or whatever they did to pay them off. People had no problem with that. That the solar thing, people came out, what's it going to do to the water supply? And like crazy dumb shit. But a natural gas pipeline of volatile carcinogenic chemicals that we got by pumping chemicals to fracture the fucking shale water supply, which was a huge upgrade from coal. And it was a good to get more domestic gas going as opposed to being, you know, Russia and Saudi Arabia and all that kind of stuff. It was a progress. And I'm an environmentalist. That was better than coal. Solar is better than that. But people had no problem with that. So my point is, when I'm giving my elevator pitch, is I want to get right in front of the objections and cut through the bullshit, right? Of like, nothing's free. What's the catch? Well, there's these tax credits, right? I don't know about you. Like we're going up against some natural enemies that everyone hates, right? We're kind of like Rocky versus the Russian, the underdog. Everyone loves an underdog story. People hate bills. They hate like taxes. They hate the government. They hate the electric company. Like we have a solution that checks off a lot of boxes that helps them, and it doesn't even cost them anything to do the PPA. And so it's like, yeah, nothing's free. What's the catch? Well, the sun is, it makes plants grow, blah, blah, blah. The only cost is this technology, which is 100-year-old military technology. Unlike everything else that gets more expensive, the cost for the panels has plummeted 90%. Just like, remember, flat screen TVs were 10 grand. Now they're $200. Remember, cell phones, blah, blah, blah. If there's any catch, which I think is the best part, is tax credits. So your average house qualifies for 10 or 15,000 in federal tax credits, 5 or 10 grand in PA, 10 or 15 grand in New Jersey and SREX, covers anywhere from 30 to 70% of the cost of the equipment, 3 to 8 year payback, depending on where you live. So the reason we're going to put it up for free, it's not out of the kindness of our hearts. Some dude on Wall Street wants to get the tax breaks and they want to sell you electric. They want to become your provider, but they want to sell it to you at a lower locked in rate. So it's a win-win. You don't have to buy anything, you save things, right? So it's, I guess, getting through the free and the what's the catch and people being skeptical of altruism and hippies wanting to save the environment. Like, what's the real deal? And that's why I talk about Walmart and the military. You know what I mean? Like Walmart and Wall Street and the military, they're the top people going solar on planet Earth. They're not tree huggers. The only green they're worried about is cash. If they're doing it, it has to work and it has to save money. And you can also take advantage of that. You know what I mean? It's not just these big, powerful companies and corporations and military. Like you can also underdog Joe homeowner take advantage of this too. So one thing that's going on is psychological empowerment. There's like when I was at my crazy hippie school in Vermont, some guy, philosopher Pablo Freire, was like an educator that taught like politics of liberation or no, not politics, a fancy word for education, whatever. But educating people on how to like empower themselves. It was this whole course I had anyway, and that's kind of what, in a way, what we're doing is we're giving them a financial education, teaching about compound interest and how to make their money work for them, because they're used to being peasant serfs that are taken advantage of. They're used to like, I got to pay death and taxes. You got to pay your fucking electric bill. I don't know what it is, $200-300. What does it matter? There's nothing I can do about it. Anyway, whatever. I want to have heat for my kids. Yeah, I think something like that. Pablo Freire. That's what it's bills. You pay the bill. You know what I mean? So like that's what's so exciting to me is like this shit can save them so much money. And it's not that important, right? There's other stuff that's important. Their kids, their dog, like the stuff that's important to them is what's important. But this is a tool to save tens of thousands of dollars and to empower them, like, all right, to take action, right? And that's what is like, all right, cool. I'm not just going to take this in and let me think about it. Like, you know what? I'm going to put my foot down. This makes sense. Let's do it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of the way of like framing it and asking them questions and presenting it, that it's like the natural thing. Like this is the next natural evolution. And why wouldn't you do that? And again, I don't know if that answers the question, but I guess back to Jim's thing of like, if you, without saying, if you didn't mail flyers, what could you say? Like, say what you think. Like, one, you pick, when you're looking on the satellite, you pick a neighborhood that has some solar, that has a lot of south-facing houses, that doesn't have a bunch of trees, that looks kind of new, right? If you're going to spend your time knocking or cold calling, you want to get the perfect dialed-in thing. Sometimes I get referrals that live in a forest in a state we don't serve, and it stinks. So you want to pick new construction, as you know, relatively new, lots of south-facing homes without lots of trees, because you know you're not going to have to replace a roof, and electrical systems are probably modern, and you want to seed some that already have it. So I would say, you could say, hey, have you seen the trucks around some of the neighbors down the road, 3 houses down to the right? Did you know your neighbor down there? You can even look up their name on True People Search. The Johnsons got solar. We're just calling about that. You know what I mean? Or some way you want to frame it, you know, because have you been getting calls about solar? That's why we're calling. Did you hear about the IRA bill and all the new tax credits and rebates, you know, for solar? Have you heard about that yet? I was calling to follow up on that, or somehow put it in your words. So maybe, yeah, don't say, if you're not comfortable saying, did you get the, if there was no one, send a flyer, maybe target a neighborhood, pick that name. You want it to go viral. Like this one town went 60% of like a development went solar, whereas 4% of the whole country. So what happened in Gloucester Township 7 years ago, where one person went into Home Depot to buy a bucket of paint and a hammer, and Danny Myers talked to him and let some schmuck like me come in their house and give my spiel, and they got solar. And then 10 people that didn't go to Home Depot signed up. And then from that, 20 people signed up. And then from that, like, that's what you want to do. So like we were talking, Jim, the 20 cents a flyer, you can go to the mailman and put a postcard in that neighborhood. And also don't sleep on old school stuff. The yard sign. Wait till it gets installed. Because if you I used to put yard signs when they signed up, and then you would have other people come and be like, I can beat that price. So once they get installed, I do it on the mail one, because I do everything remotely. Send them a yard sign. Stuff like yard signs and flyers work. What else? Oh, what city is? Oh, got to find out our installer in Illinois, what city he's actually in. Jason. So you guys are both going to be doing. So Jim, you have your guys in New Jersey for Panda. Next one is, I have him picking Illinois neighborhoods for me. So I was telling Rich about our installer there for fast, good installs. So I'll get the info for where Jason's like home base is. Let me text him. What else is there? Because maybe my coffee's starting to wear off.
We're
That's
over
kind
2
of
hours
my,
now anyway, Steve. So if we're done here, we did a good job, I think.
yeah, I guess like what's some real world stuff? Next one, let's see, Rich, your guy, when you talk to him about the school, we want to set up a meeting for that. Jim, did we ever send a yard sign to David?
No, no, I didn't know we could do that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I have where's my account? I'll pull it up. What's Vistaprint? You could
Yeah.
probably get a better deal for a local guy. I have them because they'll drop ship it to wherever you want it. And let's see, where do I sign in? Vistaprint, sign in.
Yeah, I'll call him and ask him if we'll do a barbecue at his house. We'll pay for everything and offer a referral fee. Sure, why not?
And he's the kind of guy that he's in that like influencer person that's a business person. He's smart. He was negotiating. He was trying to get a deal. He's the kind of guy. And like what you, and this was a revelation to me because I never went to those things before Elon cut out. I was getting my appointment filled up every day from Home Depot, in-home appointments. I was driving around, and then they took that away, and that's when I started going to networking. And the people you meet at the networking that get up early and go to the coffee or go after work, like everyone wants to sleep in or go sit on their couch in sweatpants on a Friday night, me included. But the people that go there, they're also the people that volunteer at the charity, that volunteer to coach the little league, that chip in when there's a flood or what I mean? Those are the people that are movers and shakers. So you want to be involved with those people, whether or not there's a direct business correlation. But those are the kind of people that are gonna be like, you know what? You got to call up Rich. It was just da 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 solar or something or other. Like, and Dave is one of those kind of David. He made it clear as David, not Dave. He's one of those kind of people, right? So you want to be, your network is your net worth. You want to fly with eagles or whatever. Be around people like that. Here's my Vistaprint. What other practical things back to our day-to-day business here can I help with? Are we working on here? Rich, we're going to get what's his name signed up, and whatever he gets, I'm going to split it with you or whatever. You're getting some override until you're back there. Can you see my thing here? Let's see what my recent. Oh, here's everyone that has electric cars. I give them this. I put this in their thing. Hey Jason, how's it going? And I put this with the QR code, put in all the electric cars, and I go and talk with them. My girlfriend sometimes gets annoyed. She's like, "Oh, we're going to Starbucks. You got to go talk to the guy in the Rivian." And I'm like, "Yeah, I got to fucking talk to the guy in the Rivian because there's $10,000 at the end of that." And it's a non-confrontational thing. When you're like, "Oh, cool," because you're starting to see them everywhere now. It's not just, Teslas and stuff. Cool. Where do you charge at? And that guy's proud of his car, and he's an early adopter of that, and that's cool. And da 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 da. And like, tell me more about that. Where do you charge it? And then it's a natural thing. So I put this everywhere. I made stickers and I put on chargers, and then I got a call from Tesla that you can't put your stickers on our charging stations. So don't put stickers on their things. But I had these. I'm gonna get a hat.
What does the QR code take you to?
Where does it take? I think just my contact info. I hope. I hope it takes my contact. Here's ones from this one. Where was my actual ones? Where was my cart? Where was my signs, banners, and is this me? Yeah, this should be me. Order history. Okay. So like the old fashioned stuff, don't sleep on that. Technology's cool, but it's just a tool, to magnify. Where's all my history? Oh, yard signs. So this was a template they had. It's kind of tacky, but that was a template, and I shipped this to everyone that gets installed, and you might get some calls, you might not, who knows, but this goes in like the long-term farming thing. You know what I'm saying? Like some of the construction guys, like my dad had like, I guess would have been Reynolds and Sons if I was any good at construction. I was a good laborer, but I was not a craftsman. That to me is work. This is not work. I mean, it's a different kind of work, but it's not work to talk to people out the sunshine. But most of those guys didn't have to advertise, right? It's how can you build a word of mouth business where you do a great job, you help people out, and they're going to tell you like you need a foundation or a deck or whatever, call this guy. So what can we copy in solar, which is 100-year-old technology, but new to the market from existing businesses? And then how can we also use technology to leverage and amplify that, which some of the young kids, like, I'm not in the I don't believe in the generational warfare. Like, kids these days are lazy, they don't want to work. Well, sometimes I want a lazy worker. Who's going to think of, like, Bill Gates has some quote of like, give me a lazy person, because they're going to try to think of a hack that how can I do that better, right? I mean, you got to have the work ethic and stuff, but my point is old school traditional techniques that work, and then use technology to your benefit to amplify those. So the best of both, right? You can't just rely on Facebook. You can't just rely on Facebook ads. You can't just rely on yard signs. But if you kind of try to have a strategy of doing everything all at once, then that could be helpful. The one thing we didn't really cover was the Facebook ads. That works. That's expensive. So for bootstrapping, I don't recommend that. I don't really do that. But the age data is another good thing. I haven't gotten a lot out of that, to be honest. But it's a good place to start to get people that, to me, that's in the fishing, right? You got your hook out with your bait on it, right? Sign up for my free raffle in real life. We'll get your contact info. On Facebook or YouTube, free solar, get your roof repaired, or get your tag. That's your bait, right? You want people to hit on it, fill out their info, and then you're going to, I guess that would be like an inbound sales, right? And so that age data is great because it's not as expensive as all that. And then you can run it through the integrated thing, the automated dialer. So this would be an example of technology. Where's my CRMX thing? Oh, not that one. CRMX, here you go. You run it through the age data, and so it's going to automatically send 7 text messages and 7 emails and all this kind of stuff of someone that filled out a form. It could have been a month ago or 6 months ago. And you call some of them and they might be like, hey, I already have it, or fuck off, or, but there are people that opted in at one point to learn about solar. And so you can get data for anywhere from 5 cents for a year old up to like $1 for a week old. So that's a good kind of low cost way to do that. I don't know if this is ever going to load, but the no cost is the Panda or the door knocking and going, while this is not loading. Rich, what's your town?
I'm in Apex, North Carolina.
Business networking near Apex, North Carolina. Right? There's tons of online ones. There's in-person ones. Go out and see. Oh, Apex probably got another one. What's another town? Apex, North Carolina Small Business Network.
Right
Apex, North Carolina. Yeah, all of these kind of things, right? So go to these. A lot of them, BNI is at least free for the first 2, then they're going to hit you to join it. It's kind of cultish, but it's a good cult. Go to all these for free. Most of these cost nothing, Go there, and I always found it a superpower not to drink at the drinking mixers. Kind of like, when the CIA would be trying to do with the Russian spies and they would be trying to not drink the vodka because it gives you kind of an edge over people, I thought, or whatever. But like go to wine and cheese or coffee and donuts and talk to the movers and shakers in your area. I don't know if this CRM thing is going to load, but you can get the Jack Burley data is decent. There's another kid I haven't used, but Mike Margel has kid over in the Philippines, Jesse Bauer. We're going to try some data from him, pump it into here. And I have had people, I don't know why it won't load. You're trying another browser. I have had people reply like, oh yeah, we already got solar, or fuck off, lose my number, unsubscribe. Or like, and then a few people were like, yeah, we were looking at it, but we couldn't use the tax credit, or we were looking at it, but we didn't want the PPA. And the kid I had a meeting with Joe and he never called me back, or blah, blah, like it was crazy. And I was sitting like in my second office, right, on the commode, and this thing beeped and some guy replied with his freaking electric bill. And I didn't do shit. I loaded in this data, spent $100 on data. Now I spend more than that. And he's like, yeah, we were looking at it before, but we got a new roof and cut some trees. Here's my electric bill. It blew my mind. So in the new year, I need to do this more. I've slept on this. Like a lot of stuff, I'm not the most organized on. So I'm usually like when I'm in face to face engaging, that's why I have to do the not Bill Murray, Michael O'Donnell close it, because half the time I forget. You know, there's so much stuff in gold in the follow-up that I've lost and forgot. So I'm trying to be more organized, like have a whiteboard, have a notebook, have Alexa, have calendar reminders, try to automate as much as possible so that stuff doesn't get missed. I don't know why this damn CRMX thing won't load, but now I subscribe to this. There's a way to add people to it, but I haven't figured out how to add people and not confuse our streams of leads and stuff.
We got
But
on a
there's gotta
call with
be
him, and he made it very clear that there's no way to do that. That it's for like an organization where they're going to charge one account off of everything.
Yeah, now if I would be cool with that if there was a way that I could have like your bucket of follow-up and my bucket and other people's bucket of like, but yeah, I don't think it's quite made for seats.
It's not made
like
for
that.
individual reps that want to group together, I think.
Yeah, I think it'd be made if you were like assigning things. Yeah, what else here? Let's see. That's really about it for now. I guess we should also do, I guess for the future, I want to do a lot of these. I guess I need to study and copy successful trainings as well, because it's probably most people would not have the patience to digest this. So thanks for your patience of maybe we have an actual, I tried to narrow it down to just lead gen because lead gen is the most important, but I ended up going on other tangents. But I think probably the most important is mindset and generating leads. The other stuff of how to craft a proposal and all that is important, but it will come over time. But maybe have like 20 minutes or 40 minutes of a concise topic with real specific, maybe hunting or fishing, or and really dial into one thing, and then have like a question and answer, and then like a practical, question and answer of like stuff we're actually working on that week. You know what I mean? Because I want it to be like a team thing for everyone, and then also like maybe other people in Power and Beyond as a recruiting tool or a training. Because like you're saying, there's so many shitty wannabe influencer douchebags that are teaching people to do solar kind of the wrong, not to be a hater, but kind of like the mafia or legal weed, like our thing. Like this weed what meant something. It was for healing people with cancer and sick, and like it's a medicine. And yes, it's a business, and there's everyone that touches business has to make a profit. But like all of a sudden you get the Chad Bro finance douchebags in there. And again, it's mostly a helpful thing for people as long as they don't like take too much of an edible and have a fucking panic attack or something, because you can't overdose. So it's generally a good thing. But my point is like, is that this thing means something and there's roots to it. And I want people to do it the right way. I want people to be abundant and rich and succeed and provide and prosper, but the right way. And even like with the mafia, right? Cosa Nostra, our thing, there's a code of ethics, right? Like honor even amongst thieves. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm not wanting to be a hater, but like you're saying in the solar space, there's so many people that are just fucking shady because of the money involved. And it's like, you don't have to be. Like you can help people and do amazingly well without having to bend certain things and wear a vest and act like you work for the electric company, or don't ever lie. Like a retired grandmother on Social Security is not getting a fucking tax credit. You know what I mean? Like, so anyway, I guess my point is wanting to spread some solar experience and knowledge of the right way to do things, right? Without being a hater, but like there was some kid on the Power thing. Oh, I made fucking blah 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 like 40. I was like, dude, you tacked on that much on top of a, like, I'm not the commission police or anything like that, but I'm like, dude, you put as much commission as the whole system costs. Like, what the fuck? And he was like bragging and like, subscribe to my channel and I'm like, no, this dude was at the power conference in a fucking rented Lamborghini. And I'm like, dude, that is not what solar is about. You know what I mean? And like, sure, prosperity, abundance, cool, great, fun, whatever. But like done the right way, helping people. So that's an important thing for me, is like making it be a space here where we can like train and work and learn about like how to do solar the right way.
I
To
think
be a
that's
solar
wonderful.
pro, not a solar bro.
Steve, we gotta probably try to get more concise and make these like 45 minutes, or else you're gonna have people, like a lot of people are like logging off and then maybe they come back. I think we'll lose our audience, and people, if they think it's gonna be 2 hours every time, you're not gonna get a lot of the audience we're looking for, I think.
Yeah. Sweet. Keep it concise and dive down on something in particular that time.
Yeah, pre-plan a
like,
topic
let's-
and work ahead of time to put it together, kind of thing.
Yeah, like let's have one on how to host an event, how to go to a networking thing, and that's the whole topic. I mean, how to work on your elevator pitch, or how to, you know what I mean? Like, and that's the main thing, and focus on that and keep it simple with some real world practical examples, not like my life story and blah blah. It's all good shit that you need to know, but it's
No, it's all great, but not
undigestible
everybody has the
in that.
mental capacity to do it.
Yeah,
Hey, I have
it's
to
like
hop off here now. I got to go jump on something else, but I loved it. Appreciate it. And good luck to you, Jim. Nice to meet you. And take care, Steve. I'll talk to you later, okay?
Yep, yeah, let's do it next Tuesday, and we'll make it concise next time.
I'll see you then. Take
Thank
care,
you,
guys.
Rich.
Awesome, sounds
Thank you,
good.
Rich.
Take care.
Cool. All right, want to boogie, Jim? I guess we'll. Do we have any
I'm the last one
projects
left.
There you go. Any projects that you have going on that I can help with? What else do we have in the hopper here?
Well,
Let's
we're
see.
trying to get Srikanth to meet with you in WattHub.
Oh yes, he's ready. Yeah.
Okay, so please invite me. The last time you scheduled it with WattHub, I didn't hear about it till after the fact. Anyway, he didn't come. And I haven't heard back from Paul at TJ Telemarketing, but I assume he's making calls, but I'm not surprised he's having a little trouble with school districts, because it's hard.
Yeah.
That's why I called him. I don't have the patience to try to get past the gatekeeper.
So that one too, when their proposal's done, it sends out an automatic thing to the customer, and he self booked that. So I didn't know about that one either. Slade texted me, he said they're going to work on when the customer so the proposal gets done, and he clicked on a calendar link and he picked the time.
All right.
So we want to get him. Let's call him right now. Or your now these guys have a Calendly link. Let me see if I can see. Yeah, I don't know if that's their presentation, but that's they can self book. So we want to put instead of having to go back and forth, you know what I mean?
And the other guy is Daniel Packle, so we're waiting for him to actually buy his house.
Okay.
That he couldn't get a bill from the seller, but he's going to be moving in eventually. And we can't really do anything till he moves in anyway.
Yeah, until he has an actual.
Well, until he actually has title to the house.
Yeah.
That's it.
This was the one Rich had, Scranton School for the Deaf. Let's see here. Where was their calendar link? WattHub, here, their calendar. Yes. Okay, that's Shri. Let's call him on the phone. I need to plug my phone in. What is, we had a text with him. What is his phone number here? Shri? Shri, I have a couple Shris. Do you have his number handy, Jim?
Just a minute. 609-582-0186.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Only there was a free fuel source we could tap into in the sky. Oh, now I move these damn books out of the way. Can't put big books on top of small books. Okay. Okay, 609.
582-0186.
Okay, let me pull up their calendar so we can schedule one directly there. So this is what, Wednesday? This is tomorrow. And these guys, oh wait, this is my schedule. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's theirs. Oh, it's comparing it with mine. So this is theirs. Okay, this is on East Coast time. Okay. And his name, is it Shri or?
Srikanth. So I would say Srikanth without the
Okay.
H. No, not Shri, but Sri. So you were close. I didn't know Calendly could compare to calendars.
I guess, yeah, this is their thing and this shows when I'm available, I guess. So that's
Okay.
kind of cool. Maybe because I have a calendar one. Okay, let's call him. Hey Shri, how's it going? Good. This is Steve and Jim. We were chatting about solar for your yeah, how are you doing?
Good, good.
Fantastic. I was just calling with some great news. We got back the solar proposal for the laundromats and calling to see when's a good time to discuss. We have some time available tomorrow. Are you
We can do it
available?
now? We can do it today?
Let me check real quick. Let me check with the engineers. What time would be good for you today?
No, I'm available all night. I'm not going anywhere. It's very bad outside, so I'm home all day.
Gotcha. Let me check with Slade and this is your cell phone here, Slade and Jim. And let me text Slade right now. He's our engineer. And I know I'm on the phone with you, but you're 609. What's the rest of it?
582-0186.
There it is. Okay. And I'll say, hey, Slade, Sri is available all evening if you have some time now. Oh, I spelled available wrong. Okay, so this is a text with me and then Jim, who you originally met, who's on the phone with us there in the background. Can you hear us, Jim?
Yes, and I see your text messages.
Awesome. And then we have Slade, who's one of the engineers who does the financial and the designs. So I'm texting to see when Slade's, if he can hop on tonight.
Why don't you check his Calendly for today?
Yeah, it looks like today is already. Yeah, today is not showing availability at the same time. But he could be available. Let me actually add him on. If I can't get him to hop on this evening, how about tomorrow? Are you going to be around tomorrow in the morning or the evening?
Afternoon, anytime afternoon, just call me.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
call me. I can take the call anytime.
Well, I'll set a Zoom. How about would 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, or 6 o'clock be better?
2 o'clock. Let's do 2 o'clock.
Okay, let me make sure I have your email spelled right. So this is going to be. Okay, what's a good email? I know we have it. I just want to make sure it's spelled right.
laundrycare365@gmail.com.
Laundry care. Okay, 365@gmail.com. At 2, okay. And I just texted Slade. Let me add Slade on the call real quick. I think I got a text from him. Let me see if he can take it right now. And if not, we'll plan for tomorrow too. So stay on the phone for 1 second. I'm gonna see if I can add him in.
Yeah.
Just stand by here. No time like the present.
And this is Slade with Water. If you need a fast response, then you text me.
Oh, said he's wrapping up another Zoom call. On the phone with someone, call you right back. Okay, good. Laundry care is available all afternoon and evening today, if that works. If not, 2 p.m. East tomorrow. Okay, Slade's gonna call us right back, and let me make sure we have all your info entered here. All right. And so we got all the bills and the things. You have the 4 buildings there, right?
Yeah, 4 buildings, yes.
Okay, perfect. Freestanding building, yeah. And all right. Oh, can't spell my own name there.
You got mine right.
Yeah, that's all that matters. There we go. Okay.
Add me as a guest.
Yeah, oh, there we go. That'll work. Oh, okay. That works. Okay, I guess.
Just
And what is it, Jim?
I would say use distinguished@rocketmail.com.
Okay, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And then, so yeah, it looks like the proposal looks good. There's some great incentives and rebates and things like that. Looks like Slade's got everything going there.
Five.
Can you send me all the proposals before, then I'll be prepared what to expect?
Yeah, I think what they typically like to do is they'll pull it up and discuss it so they can explain how everything works, and then they can follow up with the site survey and things like that.
Yeah, because there is a grant going on by end of the month. If we can go and do that, everything is paid in Trenton. All 3 buildings are paid. I can pay 1 building cash. There's a grant, clean energy grant in Trenton for that locations. It's a backward area, so all the 3 buildings are qualified for that.
Oh, nice. Okay, we have a whole incentives team. Yeah, for the development zone, yeah.
I'm a development zone. Mine is a UEZ zone. So all of that are tax exempt. So
UAZ?
UEZ.
UEZ.
Urban Enterprise Zone.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. That's good. Enterprise zone.
If you can send me proposals, I can send those guys to I know those department. I can send them, and then they will call you and then make this happen.
Perfect.
I'm waiting for this proposal. So if you can send me, I can forward them tomorrow morning, and then we'll have an answer by 8 o'clock something. They're going to give 50%, I think.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah, and so
yeah. If you can send me whatever it is, they pay you, and rest I can pay you. That's not a problem.
Beautiful. Okay. And so I think what they'll do is they want to go over some of the info first, and then they'll send it all over. I'm going to see, he said he's wrapping up his call, so hopefully Slade can
hop on a quick call with us this year?
I can wait. That's not a problem. I can
Okay.
wait as long as possible today. So
Perfect.
it's not a problem. Yeah, because I want to get it done too. So I get the incentives.
Perfect. That's awesome. So I'll
I'll tell you. I'll send you the NJ clean and NJ.
perfect. I just sent an email. Did you get that? And how do I spell your last name, Shri?
Paidipalli.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, so there should be a Zoom invite on your email, laundrycare365@gmail, me and Jim. And then as soon as Slade gets off his other call, I'll call you right back and hopefully we can make it happen today. If he ends up being back to back today, we'll do it at 2 p.m. tomorrow.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Shri. Hopefully we'll be calling you back real shortly. If not, we'll see if you got the Zoom link for tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Did you receive that?
I did.
Perfect. Awesome. So we'll see you tomorrow at 2, if not sooner. I'll call you ASAP if we can get Slade to hop on the call sooner.
Okay.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much, and we'll look forward to chatting soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
There isn't a Zoom link per se.
Oh, it didn't have a Zoom attached? Let's see.
I don't see a Zoom link, no.
Yeah, I should have got one. How did it come to you, as an email? Let me see.
Yes,
Yeah, I didn't get one. I put my email on there. Let's see.
well, you have to know the right people. I know you.
Did I spell my own email wrong? Let's see. Did it come to calendar?
Yes, your email is misspelled.
Aha.
You made it Solar Usurfer.
What an idiot.
Well, you're a successful idiot. So
Oh.
how much of an idiot can you be? Not a good speller, but can live with that.
Sometimes spell check makes it worse, like you'd think spell check would help, and sometimes it makes it ducking worse. Oh, that's still pro. Are you able, can you go into the invite? Can you hit edit and correct my email? Does it let you do that?
Or add people?
Well, I have the ability to reschedule it, but that's not what I want to do.
Yeah, maybe because they're the main people, it's maybe locked or something. I'm actually on the road driving to Arizona for the next 8 hours. Okay. Are you available tomorrow? How stupid is that? Okay. Use that calendar link and book a time. That works. Yes. Okay. So they'll be on there tomorrow at 2. Okay, Alexa, set reminder tomorrow, 1:55 p.m.
But
Alexa,
there's
wake
no,
up.
yeah, there's no Zoom link per se. So I don't know how his Calendly is set up, but he didn't generate a Zoom link.
Oh,
It didn't
maybe it's
seem.
Alexa, stop. Not you, Alexa, sorry. Oh, here we go. New Jersey. Cool. Oh, maybe it's, okay, that's good. Maybe it just is a call or something.
That's what it looks like.
Okay. Well, that's okay. So we'll know he's expecting a call.
Well, I mean, I'll have the Zoom room if we need it.
Yeah. Okay, so he's driving back from his ski trip. And that's good. Who else? Oh, who was that other guy we sent to him? You
Packle.
mentioned his name.
Daniel
Packle?
Packle. Yeah. Pack. Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, he replied. What did he reply? Still waiting. Okay, so we'll follow up in 2 weeks or something.
Now, there's
Okay.
also Steve Bush, who was David Drescher's boss. And Steve Bush has several commercial buildings and apartment buildings and stuff. Now, he sent us the bills for those a long time ago.
Yeah, that was the one we didn't, at that point, I was kind of interviewing small scale. They were too small for Novidium, but now WattHub can do those. If they're 100 kilowatts and up. So I should put those in. I should get those Slate on those. So if you can, let me hold on. Please. Those ones are way back here.
I mean, I can send it again. I've sent it several times, but I know you're busy. I can send it again. There were,
Yeah, now we have a chance. They had a bunch of bills and properties and
that's right.
yeah, if you can refresh those we can run through WattHub. Oh, here's David. Now that was solar options.
No, it was probably October, September, October.
Yeah, maybe just resend it so it pops to the top here.
Okay.
And then
You
we'll,
just passed Shrikant's last name. If you go up right there.
oh, Kalalapali, Paypali, okay.
So he's in your contacts list.
Oh, Ken Krawchuk, whatever happened to him?
Now he wrote back and said something. I didn't read the whole thing, but he said he doesn't want it. One thing Panda suggests when people don't have enough roof or something or trees, he tells them to build a gazebo. that's something maybe Ken Krawchuk could theoretically do.
Yeah, but
But-
that, no one really builds that gazebo. It doesn't really exist, the solar gazebo.
Oh.
Wow, he gave a really great, did I ever answer this? Like, look at this. He
Yeah, he sent
really
the whole
all
thing.
in.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. I'll have to. Well, he's saying if the price went down, why is it not going to keep going down? Which it will, but we've almost gotten to the bottom. It will get a little bit cheaper. And a 15-year payback. No, it's like a 7-year payback. But he really looked into it like at a deep level. That's pretty cool. So maybe he'd be someone to go on the
Ambassador program.
follow-up list, ambassador or
Yeah.
his radio station. But let's boogie here. Let me get ready. I got a 5 o'clock and then we'll see Sri tomorrow and hopefully he's ready to rock. So we'll get that one signed up.
Well,
And
that
then
would
we'll
be
go from there.
excellent. That would be good. It's
Awesome.
okay. Thank you for your help.
Cool. Yep. Great job, Jim. We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
Toodaloo. Ciao. Arrivederci.